Stand up, New York Giants fans. I saw my guy Andrew Christopher in the chat. Hi to you, my man. Hi to you, my man. What's going on, everybody? Hope you guys are enjoying your day. Day two of the early period of free agency. Yesterday, of course, the Giants made what I think will amount to be their biggest splash in free agency. Obviously, well, technically a trade by bringing in Brian Burns. I think that excited a large portion of the fan base. You go out there, you get a guy that could play opposite Kayvon Thibodeau, and hopefully the Giants get back to their ways in terms of having a dominant pass rush. And we'll see how everything transpires throughout the rest of the offseason, what holes they look to fill. In addition to that, yesterday we brought in two guards, one of which could potentially play tackle. We'll see, we'll see during camp how that plays out. And of course, a running back in Singletary. Today, the Giants go out there, they get the backup quarterback, which it was obvious. I mean, Joe Schoen basically told you we were signing. Not basically, he did tell you we were going to sign a quarterback in free agency. And I don't know what to take from this. Maybe the chat has an opinion one way or the other of what it may mean in terms of the draft. I don't think it tells me a whole lot. He's to me, it's a guy that's not. He's a clear backup. He's a solid backup. I would say he's like an average backup, young, I suppose. But it's only a 1-year deal. It's $5 million. So I don't think it makes it more likely we're going to draft a quarterback, but I don't think it makes it any less likely either. Had they signed, I don't know, a Jacoby Brissett, for example, and maybe he got a 2-year deal, I may feel it lends itself more towards we're not drafting a quarterback. So I'm not saying it's more likely we're gonna, but I don't think that it lessened the probability that we could potentially take a quarterback in this year's draft. In addition to that, the Giants went out there and they got Jalen Mills, former corner, converted to safety, I believe, last year. He's a veteran piece. I mean, obviously, I think he'll be a little bit better, but it's kind of like it feels almost like an Antoine Bethea signing late. Well, he's not as old as him, but a guy that is going to be here for like a year, at the safety spot. But it's something they needed. After McKinney departed, we still have two young safeties back there with Dane Belton, obviously, and Pinnock. So they need a veteran presence back there. And, we'll see what the plan is going into camp. But the Giants go more, cost effective today. They get guys on short-term contracts to fill in some holes. And we'll see if there's any other moves on the horizon. Of course, potentially could still go corner. They could go wide receiver, I suppose, even though I'm going to continue to say I'm at least leaning that they're going to go wide receiver early in this year's draft. But hey, things could change, and there's some other holes that they could certainly fill. So we'll see while we're live if something goes down today. Talk to you guys, hang out with you guys for a bit. Maybe there'll be some moves, big moves from around the league that go down. But what's going on? JC Mannix popping in. What's going on? Big move. Alan Clark says, get me a big weapon. Belt. I like Belton, man. I think he's going to get an opportunity this year. That's for sure. Papa Goose, man, what's going on? Unlimited Liquid. What's going on? Swing Culture. What's going on? Moose. They're not taking a quarterback round 1, maybe 2 or 3, but not in the first. That's not what I would predict right now. I agree with you, but certainly not going to rule that out. It's possible, but I wouldn't predict that right now. I'd be predicting wide receiver. I was predicting that going into free agency, and nothing has made me shift my opinion. So if I had to make a choice right now, I agree with you right now. I'd be leaning we're going to go wide receiver. And the one thing that I take out of yesterday, a lot of people brought up the possibility of trading up into the first round with our 2 second-round picks. I think that took a hit, in terms of that being more likely to happen, right? Because we traded our earliest second-round pick. Now we're picking at 47. You don't have another second-round pick. Could we still? Yeah. But I lean more towards if you thought that was at least something that you really wanted to strongly consider going into the draft, you probably wouldn't have wanted to touch those picks, so you could potentially couple them up and move up. I'm not saying it's impossible, but became less likely yesterday. I'll say that. But listen, at the end of the day, if they love a quarterback and he's there, of course they could certainly take one. So I'm not ruling that out. But if you're asking me where I'm leaning, yeah, right now, today, that's before maybe they sign a wide receiver tonight. I don't know. But right now, today, that's where I'm at. I'm leaning. If I had to predict, if I was doing a mock draft, I would be predicting right now today the Giants are going to be going with a wide receiver, whether that be Rome Odunze, whether that be Malik Neighbors, whoever it may be. But that's where my head's at right now. And what's going on? Ada Mannix popping in, man. And Joseph Santiago says the Giants are not and were never going to draft a quarterback. Do you all get it now? Well, I mean, Joe, I still think they could. But do you think today, Joe, I'm assuming what you're saying that is because we signed Drew Lock today. That doesn't alter my opinion one way or the other. The signing Drew Lock to a $5 million 1-year deal when we clearly needed a backup, really shift your opinion? I know you didn't think we were taking a quarterback anyway, but today's events doesn't change my outlook on it. I always thought it was possible. I still think it is, but I don't think it's more likely than getting a wide receiver. What's up, Jacob, man? What's going on? Jameel, man, thanks for popping in. To me, yeah, I agree. Today means nothing. They could still go quarterback. Desi says, did you see Justin Jefferson turn down the Vikings? No, I did not. I didn't get an opportunity to see that. What's up, Kings O? What was the projection? What was the projection? A wide receiver. Get them into still GM. Fix the line. Next year, they'll stink again and draft the quarterback and running back. Listen, you know me. I'd be happy if they took the lineman, but I just don't think they're going to. I guess I wouldn't be stunned, but I don't think they're going to. If I had to make a prediction today, it would be a wide receiver. It's the strength of the draft class. It is a very important position. It is a big need. I think BPA is going to match need there at a valuable position. Might not be the most valuable, but among one of the most valuable positions. And that's where I think they're headed, man. $30 million a year return down. Wow. 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 Somebody asked me about MHJ. Listen, man, I don't think we're going to have the opportunity to get MHJ. I don't see the Cardinals trading out of that pick. And if they do, I think it's going to be for a team that trades up for a quarterback. The only way I see that, I don't think the Giants would trade up to take a wide receiver. As good of a prospect as MHJ is, I don't think they would trade up to get a wide receiver. What's going on, T. Jones, man? Thanks for popping in. Chris, I feel the Bears can't move Fields. Think a quarterback may or Daniels drops. Yeah, I saw it today. I was actually talking to JD Sports on let me clear this up a little bit. I was actually talking to JD Sports on Twitter, and I saw today that the Bears it was something they did. What did they do? They were the only, I think they were the only team represented, or at least maybe it was the only GM represented, but the only team in some way, shape, or form that was represented at the Bo Nix, a pro day at Oregon. And I said to myself, the only reason they're doing that, because there's no way they're even considering taking Bo Nix. They're going to obviously draft Caleb Williams. But the only reason I think they're trying to do that is so that they're trying to not make it seem like they're desperate to trade Justin Fields. I think ultimately they're going to have to trade him. I think every team knows it. But I think they went to that today to be like, we're still open to potentially not taking a quarterback. We're not desperate to trade this guy. That's the game I've thought they've been playing all offseason. I don't think the Bears are moving off of Fields. I'd be stunned. I will say, I do think Jaden Daniels is going second. I think Jaden Daniels is going to go to Washington. More and more reports are starting to say that, and it just makes sense. The Cliff Kingsbury offense, Jaden Daniels seems like he'd be a pretty good fit for that offense. You think about Kyler Murray with Arizona. So I could certainly see that. And I'm going to be honest. And Jaden Daniels, obviously a very good prospect. I think some people have him as their number one quarterback. I would much rather Washington take Jaden Daniels than Drake May. I think Drake May's ceiling is higher. So I'd be happy with that. But I just don't see Drake May getting past New England. I don't care what the reports are saying that he's dropping. I just don't see it, man. Big Moose says, I'm starting to think we trade down and get our picks back that we gave to Carolina. What do you think, Chris? I mean, I'm sure we'd be open to it for the right deal. But like I said yesterday, man, I'm not considering. I appreciate that, T. Jones, man. Thanks for being here, man. As I said yesterday, man, I'm not considering trading down unless I'm getting a future first-round pick. I'm not trading down otherwise. I got to get a future first-round pick. And you're not going to get that if you trade back a couple of spots. So we'll see. I'd be open to it. I think Shane would at least be open to it. But all depends on how he feels about the players that are, at number 6 overall. I certainly think there's going to be suitors. And when you look at the quarterback carousel that took place today, I think here's my prediction right now. I think Minnesota is going to trade up into the top 5. I think they're going to trade up into the top 5 and they're going to take J.J. McCarthy. If I was doing a mock draft today, that's what I'd predict. They signed Sam Darnold today. They obviously let Kirk Cousins walk. Several reports have come out that they like J.J. McCarthy a lot. That's been for months. I think there's no way they're going to sell the fan base on Sam Darnold long term. They let Cousins out the door. I think Minnesota's trading up into the top 5. I think they're going to take J.J. McCarthy. There's my hot take. What's up, Walter, man? Thanks for popping in, man. And Jai, what's going on? Thanks for popping in. Let's thank for Travis Hunter next draft. There you go. Dunes Aaron, I would lean Neighbors. I'd prefer Neighbors, but I like both of them a lot. Burns reminds me of Kayvon, speed rusher who'll make some plays, but not consistently winning because he lacks size, strength, and great run D. 30 million is a lot. Listen, this is the way I look at the Burns thing. And obviously you're going to get, people that are critics, especially when you look at the money that we paid him. And people say, well, you paid him as a top 5 pass rusher. He's more like a top 20 pass rusher. And I get that. But how often in the NFL does a 25-year-old pass rusher that is at least very good, who doesn't have an injury history, who has always remained healthy, even become available? So I'm not surprised that the Giants had to pay that to bring him in. Look at what happened last year with Chicago. Chicago traded a second-round pick to get Montez Sweat, who I would take Brian Burns at a second over Montez Sweat. They gave up a second-round pick to get Montez Sweat. They paid him $25 million a year. That's the going rate for an edge rusher, man, and the market's only going to go up. He's 25 years old. He fits the long-term vision of this football team. I'm completely fine with it, and I'm not overly concerned with the cap space. I get people see these contracts, and they see Brian Burns, $30 million a year. They see Dexter Lawrence, $24 million a year, whatever he got. Andrew Thomas, $23.5 million a year. And they're saying, oh, what are we going to do with all this money? The cap always goes up. These contracts are all long. You can maneuver that money around over the next 4 or 5 years as the cap continues to accelerate. And the other thing, if I'm being honest with you guys, I mean, obviously, if he's the starting quarterback this year, I hope it works out. But I don't think Daniel Jones is going to be here much longer, even if he's the starter this year. So we're more than likely, in the not-too-distant future, going to have a quarterback on a rookie salary. So the way I look at it, man, is if you could get young talent at a premium position, it's worth the shot. And I think Brian Burns is a guy that can help this defense in a big way. You're always going to overpay in free agency. But if you're going to overpay at a premium position and overpay with a guy that is still very young, right? He's still 25 years old. Brady G says, Drew Lock, thoughts, is a quarterback draft first round happening? Here's my answer, man. I just said it. I don't think them signing, I should say, Drew Lock tells me anything. I don't think it makes it more likely that we're drafting a quarterback. I don't think it makes it less likely that we're drafting a quarterback. It really tells me nothing. It was kind of an in-the-middle move. It wasn't a upper echelon backup, and it wasn't like a bottom-of-the-barrel backup. It's not like, so I don't know. I don't read too much into it. We needed a backup. We got one. If the Giants love a quarterback and they could get one, I still think they will. I just don't necessarily think they're going to love a quarterback at 6. And that's why right now I'm leaning wide receiver. But I don't think that that's going to deter them from drafting a quarterback if they love one. Mike Dixon, man, what's going on, buddy? He says, what's up, entertainer? Want to hear my hot take. 4 quarterbacks with 4 picks leaves the Chargers going Alt and Marfoles. I would be stunned. I would be stunned. No way. And right now I have Alt going. Right now I have Alt before I factor in trade ups. Now, I just told you if I was doing a mock today, I would have Minnesota trading up probably to 5 to get J.J. McCarthy. I really think that's going to happen. But if I was excluding that, I would have Alt going number 5. But I can't see, like, if the number 4 pick traded out for McCarthy, whatever, I can't see the Chargers passing up on Marvin Harrison Jr. He's too good of a prospect. I can't see it. I can't see it. I don't think there's a realistic possibility where he could fall in our lap. I would love it, but I can't see it, man. Let's see. Oh wow, the Texans got Danielle Hunter. Good pickup for them. How much? Let's guess. How much did Danielle Hunter get? Well, Burns is younger, so he probably didn't get quite as much as Burns. Let's see. Let's take a guess. Hunter, he's 30. I'll go 4 years, 110. Maybe 3 years for. I'll go 4 years, 110. Maybe it's 3 years, but I'll go 4 years, 110. I don't know what the guarantees are. What was it? Only oh, you guys are guessing, or do you guys 2 years for? Oh, so he only got 2 years, 49. So you got $25 million a year. Not a bad deal. He's older. That's obviously why he's not getting that 4 or 5 year contract. So there you go. 2 years, $50 million, $25 million a year for Danielle Hunter. Joe Boy says if they love JJ, should get him and don't. Listen, if they love a quarterback, you take one. I don't disagree with that mentality. And we'll see if they do. Dave Gettleman loved Daniel Jones. He took him. We all screamed about it. But listen, that's what a GM is going to do if they love a quarterback. We're going to find out in about a month if they, in fact, love a quarterback at their pick. That's why I will never rule anything out, man. I did not think we were going to be taking Daniel Jones, and they ended up taking him. So I'm not ruling it out. Let's see. And Swin says, whatever happened to the I did it. It wasn't like a permanent thing, Swins. It was just for a couple of weeks. And John says, here's my information. We only need $9. What? What's up, John? Only JJ I want is Justin Jefferson, which is not going. No way. They didn't trade for a safety. They signed a safety. They signed a safety. They signed Jalen Mills, formerly of the New England Patriots. Texans. Danielle Hunter went to the Texans, Rob. $25 million a year. Dan says, hey, Chris, you should run a mock draft during the stream. I'm going to do my first mock draft as soon as free agency is over. That's when I'm going to do my first mock draft. I'm kind of trying to save it. After free agency is over, I'm going to do my first. So probably I was going to do it after the combine, but then I said, you know what? I might as well wait at this point and do the first mock draft that really matters after we see these teams start to fill their voids. So I'm going to do it. Probably next week once we see these teams fill out. But today, I think I'd be leaning that 4 quarterbacks are going in the top 5. Yeah, I know he's a former cornerback, but he played safety last year. And he's older. He's 30 years old. So that's probably where I would assume that's probably where he's going to play. I deleted social media, so free agency has been fun. I said, smart. You're smart. I will probably be back to deleting Twitter after free agency, but I got to keep up with the moves. Merwin says, should the Giants go after T. Higgins? No, not worth it. Not for the contract that I think he's going to cost. And Mark says, hey, Chris, we never ask you, how are you doing? I'm doing good, man. And working hard at my new job. And yeah, I'm doing good. I actually like the job a lot more than I thought I would. Clocks, man, good to see you, man. Finally back stateside. Seems like yesterday, you, Bad Dog, myself, had that horrible draft night with Daniel Jones where I had to go to PC Richards to replace my TV. I like the moves the Giants have made, but still a blah feeling. Listen, man, Poyer signed with the Dolphins. I mean, obviously, we weren't going to be getting him after, after what happened today. So that you knew that wasn't going to happen. But so Poyer signed with the Dolphins. Okay. But, yeah, Clocks, man, thank you so much, man. Glad to see that you're back. I forgot that you broke your TV on draft night. I don't remember you telling me that, but I'm sure you weren't alone that night. I'm sure a lot of Giants fans did. What do you think of Derrick Henry to the Ravens? Did that happen? I didn't hear that if it did, but I was busy working today, so I might have missed it. Jai says, you think we're going full rebuild or retool? I think I don't think we're going full rebuild because obviously you've seen we've been somewhat aggressive, but I think they clearly have identified that they're not a team that's here ready to win right now. So the big players that they're going to bring, well, so far they've brought in one really big player that they're going to bring in are going to be young. That's clearly obvious. So they're not a team that's ready to compete. But I don't think they're going to completely knock it down. But they're trying to retain young talent and bring in young talent. They're not looking to bring in veterans for the most part, unless it's a quick stopgap. But long-term contracts like Okereke and Burns, those guys are young. Those guys are going to be here for the next 3, 4, 5 years. So I think the Giants have identified where they are. They realize they're still multiple years away from being able to probably compete for a Super Bowl. And a lot of that has to do with how bad the line is and the quarterback. And we'll see how they're able to fix that situation over the next couple of years. Let's see. Unfortunately, man, I wish I could tell you guys I think we're going to the Super Bowl tomorrow. Let's see. Yeah, I heard about Hunter to the Texans. 2 years, $25 million a year, which that's about in line with what I would expect for a third. He's very good, but he's 30 years old. Yeah, A'Shawn Robinson got $7 million a year, which I knew he wasn't coming back. He didn't fit the new defensive scheme nearly as well as he fit Winks. So I knew he wasn't coming back. So yeah. Yeah, A'Shawn left. I think he got about $7.25 million a year. Tyrod Taylor, for anybody that's not aware, signed with the Jets yesterday, which doesn't surprise me. I kind of knew that, Taylor was going to probably leave the Giants after what happened, with the whole Tommy DeVito thing. He wasn't happy that the Giants started DeVito over him. I think he ended up losing like $1 million or something. He lost some money due to that. He would have hit like some kind of bonus had he played, I think, or something like that. So I had a good feeling he wasn't coming back. Sway says the way Shane is built through free agency so far is how a GM builds when he plans on bringing a rookie quarterback. Just a thought. I think, you could certainly say that, but we'll find out, man. We're going to find out real soon. I think he knows whether it's this year or in the future, he's going to be bringing in a rookie quarterback. We'll find out if it's this year, but I think he's clearly showing you that he's building for long term. So we'll find out. But at the same time, I could just as easily argue, like, where's the support for the rookie quarterback? If you're taking one at 6 overall, you just let Barkley walk out the door. If you're taking one at 6, you're not going to be able to draft a wide receiver. He hasn't, as of now, he hasn't signed a veteran wide receiver, like a legitimate number one. So I don't know, man. I think if as a fan, you're going to convince yourself whatever you want the team to do, you're going to convince yourself that that's what they're doing. That's what I think most fans do. So this is really the first year since I've been doing content on YouTube where I don't really have a good grasp of what I think the Giants are going to do in the draft. I think it's one or the other, but I could see it going either way. I shouldn't say that. 2019, I did not think we were taking a quarterback. Definitely not at 6, and we did. But usually I have a decent idea, I think, what we're going to do. But this year, man, I don't. I could see quarterback. I could see wide receiver. I'm leaning wide receiver, and I could see trade down. But it's not as cut and dry, not nearly as cut and dry as it's been in recent years. David said, looking at all the moves that other teams have made, I'm shocked that the Cowboys have only re-signed their long snapper. Way to go all in, Jerry. Keep sleeping at the wheel. Yes. Well, yeah, it's funny because, that's typically what the Cowboys have done in recent history. They've never been a team that has spent big in free agency, but it's funny because Jerry Jones, if you heard his quotes, I don't know, it was a couple of weeks ago, said that the Cowboys were going to go all in, and he's lost several. I'm just going to get rid of this now. He's lost several important pieces to that team. And they haven't done they haven't made much of an effort to replace them. So the Cowboys kind of feel like right now they're kind of in limbo where they're not good enough to probably compete to win Super Bowls, but they're not bad enough to be picking at the top of the draft to be able to start to retool their team. So Cowboys are in a weird spot right now. I don't know what I guess they're still obviously going to try to compete, but they haven't been aggressive this offseason like many people anticipated. They're kind of in a weird spot. Brady says Drake May is the hype real with this kid. Listen, quarterbacks are a complete crapshoot. They're a complete crapshoot. But I could tell you that I think he's got potential to be great. He's got potential to be an elite quarterback in the NFL. Doesn't mean it'll happen. There's several quarterbacks that have elite potential and it doesn't pan out. But yeah, I think he has potential to be great. Is there things he has to work on? Yeah, that's every quarterback prospect. But Yeah, I think he's got high-end traits, and I don't care what the recent reports have been. I'd be shocked. I'd be shocked if Drake May doesn't go in the top 3. I'd be shocked. I think he's going top 3. Let's see. Rich Eisen has a really good take on it. His all-in is on guys in the building. Where is Tommy DeVito go? He'll be on the practice squad. He's under contract. Dominic says Eisen cleared the Jones statement up on going all in. They're going with the players they have, and if they don't win, they are cleaning house. Oh, so Rich Eisen talked more about that statement? I missed it if he did. What's up, Jeremy? Says, hey, Chris, how you doing, man? Thoughts on Saquon being a bitch? Thoughts on Saquon being a bitch, and thoughts on the Giants free agency and possibly drafting Neighbors and Penix. I'm very optimistic about the defense. Offense is ass. Listen, I'm not going to lie to you. Like, I'm not happy that Saquon Barkley's a Philadelphia Eagle, but it is what it is, man. At the end of the day, it's a business, and there's no you can't convince me that another team was going to give Saquon Barkley what he got. So I think the Eagles offered him the most, and he took the money. It is what it is, man. We didn't want to pay him. I was on board with not paying him that kind of contract. I didn't think we were in a place to give him that kind of contract. And I'm definitely not going to root for the guy. He's an Eagle, okay? But I can't really slam the guy for going out there and taking the best offer that another team is willing to give him that the Giants weren't willing to give. So it is what it is, man. It just sucks that he's an Eagle. I can't root for the guy. As far as the Neighbors and Penix, I think we're taking Neighbors if I had to get. I mean, if he's there, but I'm slightly leaning he will be there. Penix, what does the chat think about Penix? I feel like Giants fans are higher on Penix than I am, and I don't hate Penix. But what does the chat feel about Penix? I don't know. He's not. I don't know. I'm not enthralled by Penix. I don't see, I think, a game-changing quarterback with Michael Penix, or even a potential game-changing quarterback. That's how I feel about Michael Penix. Would I be upset if we took him in the second round? Of course not. Of course not. Let's see. David says, also, former running back Aaron Jones signed with the Vikings. I saw that. Queen goes to Baltimore. I also saw that. Goes from Baltimore to Pittsburgh. I saw that. Rivals. Packers and Ravens fans know our pain. Yeah, somebody in the chat yesterday brought up Queen. I knew Giants aren't spending at the top of the market for the linebacker spot after we obviously spent near the top of the market last year with Okereke. And stand up, new member, man. Welcome to the squad, man. Penix not getting past Minnesota. Give me your draft hot takes. Give me your draft hot takes. Give me your draft hot takes with Michael Penix. I'm gonna give you my draft hot take. Maybe the chat's gonna disagree with me. I don't think Michael Penix goes in the first 40 picks of this year's draft. It's a hot take. A lot of you guys seem to think he's going to go in the top 15. I don't think he goes in the first 40 picks. We'll see. But I like him. I don't love him. Brian says, trading a second-round pick on Burns eliminates an asset to trade up for a quarterback. Yeah, it's funny when that happened yesterday. I posted that that's the way that I took it. But people responded with the complete opposite approach. Like, I'll show you what I posted on Twitter, pretty much what you said verbatim. And there were a lot of people that responded to what I said and took the complete opposite approach in terms of trading that draft pick. This was my tweet regarding that move. It's pretty much exactly what you said. Let me share. I said, I think somebody asked me, do you think we will draft a quarterback? I thought we would, but we haven't signed a receiver and probably won't. I said, I think we will add a quarterback. And when I meant that, I meant free agency and potentially in the draft at some point. Free agency will tell a lot. I left today thinking it's less likely, but far from impossible, we will draft a quarterback early in this year's draft. We just surrendered our most valuable trade asset in this year's draft outside of the obvious pick swap in round 1. And obviously, when I mean that, I mean if you're trading up from 3 to 6, it's baked in. You're giving up 6, right? So the most valuable trade asset after that would have been pick 39 or potentially a future first or whatever. But if you plan to potentially trade up, you would think you'd want to keep as many assets as possible. That's the way I looked at it after the trade went down. Not impossible that we could trade up or that we would take a quarterback, just less likely. And some people responded, and they took it the complete, like Paul, for example. He said, really? I'm the opposite. Somebody else said that too. David said it is more likely we draft a quarterback. Just added another major salary that fits with the strategy of a quarterback on a rookie wage scale. So it's just interesting how people take things differently. But I took it exactly how you took it. Not that it's impossible. Not that I'm saying it won't happen. I looked at it as it was less likely based off that trade yesterday that we would trade up for a quarterback. So that's just the way I looked at it. Let's see. But thank you, Brian. I appreciate it. And X-Man says, what's up, Chris? Giants going wide receiver or trading down? If I had to pick today, I would probably label those the two most likely. Let's see. Yeah, Danielle Hunter just signed. I saw. What's up, Mark? Says, please take away the Saquon emoji. Yes, I will have to do that. I will have to go in there and do that. He's no longer a Giant, for sure. Swin says, thoughts on Jalen Mills? He's going to start off the bat or locker room type. I mean, a lot of that will depend on training camp. But, yeah, I think he's certainly going to get an opportunity to start. I mean, they paid him at least a decent amount of money. We have two younger players. Well, Pinnock's, been around a little bit, but Belton's never really started in the NFL. So we'll see. I'm sure he's going to get some playing time, though, for sure. But I think it was important to get at least a veteran presence at that position. I still think we need a veteran safe corner as well. Dwayne says, I can't live through another DJ season. You can. You just don't want to. You can. You just don't want to. And I get it. I get it, man. I'm at the point where I don't think we can win a Super Bowl with Daniel Jones at quarterback. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I hope as a fan that if he does get an opportunity this year, he changes my opinion. But I get where the fans are at. They feel like the guy is not capable of winning a Super Bowl, so they want to move on. And how can I blame you guys? I mean, at the end of the day, that's why you watch the team. That's why you watch the team. You want the team to win Super Bowls. You want the team to be able to compete to win Super Bowls. So that's where the majority of the fan base is at. There are still certainly some members that don't feel that way, and I respect their opinion. And it has as much to do with his injury history as anything else for me. But I get where you're coming from, but I don't think we're drafting a quarterback at 6. But I wouldn't be stunned if we did. Let's see. Let's see. Yariel says, Jordan. Yeah, I saw Jordan Poyer to the Dolphins. Giants should sign Isaiah Simmons. I don't think we're going to bring back Simmons. Just like I didn't think we were going to bring back A'Shawn Robinson. I don't think we're going to be bringing back Isaiah Simmons. If the Giants play the week of the election, you got to have Bad Dog do the commentary for the play-by-play in the Trump one. Oh, God. That's right. The election's this year in November. Oh, God. What a shit show. Chris says, have you heard anything regarding Neil and his off-season practice to get better? No. No, I have not. I saw Jordan Renan today speculated that he thought it was at least moderately possible that Evan Neal may end up being the guard to start the year, but that's probably just opinion-based. Listen, Nico Cruz, everybody's got their own opinions, and I listen. Sims is a guy that's his rankings are always all over the place, but sometimes he's going to look like a genius, and sometimes he's going to look dumb, just like everybody else. If you're going based off of production and just pure arm talent and not factoring in potential upside for like a younger prospect like a McCarthy, for example, and you're not factoring in the potential injury scare, and I could see somebody having him second or third at the quarterback spot, but Hey, listen, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. I don't have him that high. I don't hate him though. I just don't like him in the first round. Oh, Giants got McKenzie from the Bills. Let me see what the contract is. I don't think the contract details are out, but it just went down. He's obviously, a depth guy, but he's not going to be, a number one wide receiver. So everybody that wants a quarterback is going to be like, oh, they sound the wide receiver now. They're not going wide receiver. Obviously, a depth guy, but Giants bringing Isaiah McKenzie, formerly from the Buffalo Bills, obvious ties with Joe Shane, Brian Dable. Yeah, he's a depth guy. He's a guy that's going to replace Paris Campbell, for example, who was a complete bust, who I actually had pretty high hopes for last year, but yeah, depth piece. He's been in the league since 2017. He is going to be 29 next year. So clearly like a 1 year, fill-in, but not a guy that you expect to have much of a role with this team. So, but the Giants, I guess, start to continue to fill out the depth on their roster there with Isaiah McKenzie. Let's see. Yeah, he's a good, yeah. So, yeah, special teams purposes. Special teams. AJZ says, I have a feeling the Giants are going. We'll see. Do you think the Giants trading for Fields would make any sense for me? It doesn't. No, I don't think we're trading for Fields. MYG says, hot take. Devin Singletary makes the Giants offense more balanced. That's a hot take. It's a hot take I disagree with, but it's certainly a hot take. Andres Rodriguez says, Giants need to draft the top wide receiver. JJ is not the guy. Keep building the roster. Let DJ get one more year, and then he's off the books. QB in later rounds, maybe. That's what I think they're going to do. If I had to guess, I think that's exactly what they're going to do. I think they're going to draft the quarterback late day 2, early day 3. If I had to guess, I don't think they'll be taking one at 49. I don't think they'll be taking one at 6. I think they'll be taking one at some point. That's my guess right now. But that's exactly what I think they're going to do. G-Man, what's going on, man? He says, any chance we try for Calvin Ridley? Well, I mean, if they ever did sign Calvin Ridley, which I do not anticipate, then I would say, well, maybe you will get your quarterback at 6. Because at that point, what's the point of signing Calvin Ridley if you're not going to take a Malik Neighbors or Rome Odunze, right? So if that ever happened, which I don't anticipate, that would completely change my outlook on this year's draft right now. But I don't expect it. It's a very rich wide receiver draft class. Why would you spend a ton of cap on at that position when you can easily go out there and draft a guy that is incredibly talented? So I don't think they're going to do that. I think they'll spend their cap elsewhere. Let's see. Comedian Cat Williams just signed with the Cowboys. Didn't I saw a post today on Twitter, or was trending for a bit. I don't know if this was a troll job or if this was legitimate. Somebody in the chat let me know. Is Aaron Rodgers considering running for? I saw it all over. So what? And Aaron Rodgers, I think, said it, considering running for VP or something with Robert Kennedy. I was like, that's probably nonsense and not going to happen. But my God, man, you think it's bad as a Giants fan? And Aaron Rodgers gets hurt his 4th play last year. Imagine if you ever did that. Let's see. Hasbig says Odunze Neighbors at 6, Rattler at 47, Braylon Allen. Giants fans like Rattler a lot, man. I'm not as high on Rattler as a lot of Giants fans are. I'm not. I know he's got some tools. He was a really highly regarded prospect coming out of high school. 3rd round, I'm fine with it. I don't think I like him at 47, but a lot of Giants fans would agree with you. What's up, Bernie, man? Thanks for popping in. So he's going to be potentially RFK's running mate. There's no way that actually happens, but that's hysterical. Kevin says, continue building the trenches, draft Alt. I want to get the chat's opinion. Just shout out how you would feel if the New York Giants took Joe Alt at 6th overall. Just say one word. Would you be excited? Would you be suicidal? How would you feel if the Giants took Joe Alt at number 6? I'd be okay with it, by the way. Let's see. Nope. Okay, good. Happy. Pissed. Kill me. No. Meh. Pumped. Of course you'd be pumped. Giants Realist says no. Pissed. Disgusted. Disgusting. Rattler is very short, not good enough athlete in this game. The other thing that and again, people change over time, but the other thing I really didn't like about Rattler when I looked a little bit into him, and there's videos of it all over YouTube, you could find it. I think in high school they were doing a documentary. I could even play it on the stream if you wanted to, but his teammates hated him in high school. Hated him. And it wasn't just from that video. That was reported. So I don't love hearing that either about a quarterback. So I'm not a huge Rattler guy. Let's see. Yeah, he fights with teammates. Yeah. Let's see. LA Lou says quarterback Jalen Mills. Yeah, I know. Well, technically a safety, Lou, but yeah, he converted to safety last year. I think he's probably going to play safety for the Giants, but yeah, he's a veteran. Not going to get you super excited, but he's a piece. He's a veteran. Hopefully, he helps that young core there with Dane Belton, but he's a vet. Art Stapleton tweet. Let me take a look. Let's see what Art had to say. You talking about McKenzie? Yeah, we already knew about that. If that's what you mean. Special teams purposes for the most part. But the Giants, yeah, they had a piece in their wide receiving core. Yeah, nothing much more to report than that there. Let's see. Crazy says, I want a guy that plays right tackle and play him there. Well, I think Joel, I know he played left tackle, but I think he could certainly play on the right side. Which cornerback do I want? I mean, obviously the guy that most people thought we were going to get, we didn't end up signing because his market ended up being higher. Let's pull up a list of the free agents. Hold on 1 second. I mean, Fuller's still available. He's a possibility, I suppose, but I don't think the Giants are going to be shopping at the top of the market at this point, if I had to guess. But because what's his name sign for? Robinson. What did he sign for? Let's take a look at the corners. Oh, Williams, rather. Darius Williams. He signed for... Oh, he didn't get that much. He got $7.5 million a year. He didn't get that much. I thought he got more than that. Sean Bunting. Adoree's still available. Obviously, I don't think we're bringing him back. Fuller's still available. His projected market is 13.6, but that doesn't mean anything. I've seen this is always is way off every year. Like sometimes it's way too high, sometimes it's way too low. Gilmore, he's 33. Same thing with Micah Hyde. He's older. I mean, if money wasn't an issue, probably Fuller would be at the top of my list. But I don't know. I don't know what his market is. Certainly don't want this guy. I don't want Eli Apple. Fulton coming from Tampa Bay, but he's been mediocre. He's young, but he's been mediocre since he's been in the league. I liked him as a prospect coming out. Let's see. OG Anunoby's back. Good. We need him. Good to see you, JD. We need that dude. This team's been abysmal. Not abysmal. They've fought through it, but I've been abysmal. Not getting to watch him back on the court. So good to see that he's back, man. And hopefully they can get Randall back soon. Let's see. If DJ's hurt again, Giants have to pay him the following year. We need a starting quarterback. Well, it might end up being Drew Lock. if Daniel Jones can't play this year, it might end up being Drew Lock, or it might end up being a guy that we take in the draft. Any news on Waller? I haven't heard anything. I mean, Waller's been back and forth. I don't want Logan Ryan. Who's saying Logan Ryan? He's been back and forth. I haven't heard anything in terms of the update if he's coming back or not, but we'll see. Haven't heard anything. But if he retires, it's the same thing. We're still on the hook for the same amount of money in terms of against the cap that it would be if we cut him. So it's not like we're going to get extra cap savings if he retires or if we cut him. Let's see. Pretty sure we just filled the bulk of our needs at free agency. Well, I mean, we definitely got some depth on the offensive line and guys that are probably going to start on the offensive line, at least one of them, if not both. We obviously added a really good pass rusher. We added a starting running back. So, yeah, we added a guy who could potentially be a starting safety this year. For sure. Are they sexy moves outside of the Burns? Not really, but they filled some important needs. Bill, what's going on, man? Sorry, just good to see you, man. Sorry, just joining. Any news today? Small moves. The Giants added Jalen Mills, who's a veteran safety. He played safety for the first time last year. He's 30. He's a depth guy, a guy that brings some experience to that young safety corps. And they added a backup quarterback. They got Drew Lock. I thought that the Giants were going to add Ryan Tannehill because I thought Tannehill had a similar skill set to that of Daniel Jones. He's a guy that Jones was frequently compared to during the draft, and I see the resemblance in terms of their style of play. I thought he would make sense, but who knows? Maybe he didn't want to come to New York. Maybe he wanted more of a commitment than the Giants were willing to give it a backup quarterback position. So the Giants ended up going with Drew Lock, who's obviously young. Ironically, he was in the same draft class as Daniel Jones. A lot of Giants fans in that draft actually liked Drew Lock probably above Daniel Jones. He ended up going in the second round at Denver. Didn't do well there. Played with Seattle last year. I think he had 2 starts. He actually played really well in one of them against the Philadelphia Eagles. He's a backup. Not a backup that I think is going to push to take Daniel Jones' job if he's healthy and the Giants are confident that he could play. But he's a backup, and he's certainly a backup that I think could go, be inserted into the game if Jones is playing poorly or hurt and won't embarrass you. I would label him like an average backup. I don't think he's an upper echelon backup. I'd say he's probably an average backup. Let's see. Injury clause is important. Look at the Broncos. It matters. Yeah, that's fair. I just don't know Giants realist, and we'll find out. Here's what I'll say. This is what I'll say, and take this for what you will. When I talked to Patricia Trainer after our show, she told me that the Giants are very, very scared to play Daniel Jones because of that injury clause. I don't know what that means. She didn't say they're not going to play him, but they're very aware of it. But I don't think the Giants would sit Daniel. I personally don't think they would sit him for an entire season because of the injury clause. Now, if the team was out of it, similar to the way that the Broncos were at the end of the year last year, yeah, obviously they wouldn't want to risk it. But I don't know if they would sit him day one if he was ready to go and play. But if the team wasn't doing well, yeah, I could certainly see them making the shift because of it. Let's see. What's up, Anthony, man? Thanks for popping in. DJ has to win to stay a Giant. He's got to do more. DJ's got to play great to stay a Giant after this year. Because next year, to keep Daniel Jones, his cap hit next year. Let's take a look at Daniel Jones' contract. Daniel Jones' contract next year, because obviously he's on the team this year. By the way, we'll pull up the I want to put I don't know if it's on Spot Track yet, but I saw that Duggan came up with the specifics on the Brian Burns contract. So we'll pull that up too. But Daniel Jones's contract next year, he's a $41.6 million hit against the cap, and he's $22 million to cut. So you're saving about $19 million next year if you cut him. So he's got to play pretty good, man. Like, he's got to definitely play at least as good as he did if he ends up being the starter this year and plays all year. At least as good as he did in 2022 to have a chance to stay on as the quarterback going into 2025. Because $19 million is a lot. You could add a nice player for $19 million. So he's got to play really well this year if he even gets the opportunity, if he's going to be back as the quarterback in 2025. I think it's strongly leaning towards we're probably going to move on after this year, where you could save $19.5 million. But I'm not ruling it out. If he gets an opportunity and he plays well, certainly could be back. I want to see the Burns contract. Oh, they did post it. So, and these contracts to me are always I'm not going to read too much into these because this is a 5-year contract, right? He signed all the way through age 30. Shane's going to maneuver this just like he's going to do the Thomas contract, just like he's going to do the Dexter Lawrence contract. He's going to move this money around to be able to build his team in future years. But it's very similar structure to that of Dexter Lawrence and that of Andrew Thomas when he initially signed it. Like, it's pretty flat across the board. The first year, it's a little bit less, so he can help build the team this year. And then it's 27.7, 28.7, 30.5, 30.5. Like, he didn't do anything extravagant. He didn't do like what the Eagles are doing when they had void years or they severely backload these contracts initially. It's pretty straightforward. But my guess would be in future years, especially if we end up drafting a rookie quarterback, say in 2025, let's say we don't even do it this year, my guess would be he's going to be very aggressive with these deals, and he's going to backload them because he's going to try to capitalize on having a quarterback on a rookie salary, and he's going to try to get him as much help as he possibly can as quickly as he can. So that's my guess. If we end up going the rookie quarterback route in future years, you'll see them start to severely backload these contracts, like the Dexter Lawrence and the Andrew Thomas deal and the Brian Burns deal. But as of now, it's 23.5 against the cap this year, 27.7, 28.7, 30, 30, and 30. But with the accelerating market every year, like, they could easily next year, for example, if they wanted to, you could take $15 million off of that, spread $5 million out over the remaining 3 years if they wanted to. There's a lot that they can do. The Andrew Thomas deal, I don't even think it'll see its conclusion of that deal. I think at some point, probably maybe with 2 or 3 years remaining in that, they'll probably rip it up. They'll give him a raise. They'll give him another long contract so they can spread the money out accordingly. So that's what good general managers do. They find young players leaving, and they sign them to deals while they're young, and they try to maximize their value. So I like the deal. I know a lot of people are going to look at it and they're going to scoff at it. They're going to say $30 million a year. But listen, man, that's what edge rushers get paid today. Montez Sweat got $25 million a year. I think they'll be fine with this deal, especially if you're going to have a quarterback on a rookie salary. Let's see. And Charlie says opinions on new DC Shane Bowen. I mean, I don't have my opinion on him is he's the complete opposite. Yeah, I'll show Brian Burns highlights. He's the complete opposite of what we had last year. Last year we had Wink Martindale. Wink Martindale was blitz, aggression. He's more of a guy that's going to rely on generating pressure without having to send extra men and try to generate pressure by sending 3 and 4 guys and rely on a strong defensive line. That's really what, I think the major difference between those two. The other thing that really stands out to me with Bowen is Tennessee had a great, really since he's been there, I think he's been the DC for 3 years. They had a very good third down defense. So something that, not third down, I should say red zone defense. I think they rank near the top of the league every year in that, which is always a stat that I think is very important for a defense. I think he's going to be much closer. Like I said, when we initially hired him, I think he's going to be much closer to a guy like a Patrick Graham than a guy like a Wink Martindale. Some fans are going to like that. Some fans aren't. Joe says, say what you will. Joe is building the team from the inside out. No quarterback or running back could have success with our line. Fix the pass rush and run the ball to set up the pass. That's what works. Trust the process. I appreciate it, Joe. Yeah, I'll show Brian Burns highlights. I think you guys asked for that yesterday, and I just got caught up reading the chat. We'll show some Brian Burns highlights. Yeah, I'm going to talk about that in 1 second, man. Matter of fact, I'll talk about it now, and then we'll show some Brian Burns highlights. But yeah, I mean, I think it's like abundantly clear. Isaiah McKenzie, Bill, we just added. He's not a guy that's going to make much of an impact. But he's going to be a guy. He's a gunner. He's a special teamer. But to go back to what you just said, Joe, yeah, I think it's abundantly clear. Now, I love the philosophy of Joe Schoen. I love what he's doing in terms of the way he's trying to build this team. Doesn't mean it's going to work, but I agree with his philosophy, and that there is no denying that he is a big believer in building on the offensive and defensive line. All you got to do is look at what he's done the first 2 years he's been here. He spent the 5th overall pick on an edge. He spent the 7th overall pick on a tackle. He spent his 2nd round pick on a center. He spent a 3rd round pick on a guard. He extended Andrew Thomas. He extended Dexter Lawrence to lengthy deals. That's all you got to do. He just traded for Brian Burns, spent the 2nd round pick on that. So he clearly, and he just signed 2 guards. He clearly is putting a major emphasis on the offensive and defensive line. And that's ultimately, in my opinion, the way that you win consistently in the NFL. But it also comes down to, choosing the right players. But he's clearly made it an emphasis to try to improve that. But just because his strategy is sound doesn't mean he's a good, evaluator of talent. So hopefully, he picks the right players. And some of those players are certainly, it's fair to question, right? Evan Neal right now, I think it's certainly fair to question. JMS a little bit too early, I think, but certainly fair to question a guy like Evan Neal. And he's got to see a lot of growth this year for me to get back on board with Evan Neal, man, because he was really disappointing to me last year. No, it is not fixed. Right tackle, you mean, Sherrod, but the O-line is certainly not fixed. I didn't say it's worked. I agree with his strategy. Strategy hasn't worked, though. Not yet, anyway. It's still early. Dwayne says, everything you say is F up if is effed up if Mr. Glass gets injured. Mr. Glass, I think you meant to say. When you say Mr. Glass, Dwayne, who do you mean when you say that? I'm assuming you mean Daniel Jones. Is that what you mean? You're talking about what people were talking about earlier, how we're committed more to Daniel Jones the following year if he gets hurt. A lot of fans that's a concern for fans, and Giants may not play him due to that. How much is it? How much is the extra hit knock against the cap if he were to play and get hurt? People have said it on Twitter. I forgot, what is it, $12 million? I forgot how much more it is, but we would have more money committed to the cap if he were to get hurt, which is insane. But $23 million. So basically, Bill, basically what it does is it forces you not to cut him the following year if he gets hurt. That's basically what it does. CJ Gardner-Johnson back to the Eagles. I see this all the time. G-Man 26, man, any chance at an OBJ return? Very doubtful. Very doubtful. I see this all the time. People ask me, how do the Eagles always have cap space? Well, let's find out how the Eagles always have cap space. I'll show you how the Eagles always have cap space. This is how the Eagles always have cap space. It's not rocket science. Like, GMs can do this in the league if they wanted to. The Giants don't like to do it because they're not a team that right now feels they can compete for a Super Bowl. But just look at the way they structure these deals. Jalen Hurts' contract, for example, which is obviously the biggest one. He's the quarterback. His cap hit right now is 13.5, 21.7, 31.7. Then it goes to 45, then 54. And then all this money is voided, meaning he's not even under salary during those years. but they're going to end up owing him this much money per, at the end. And I believe if you cut him at the end of 2028, this all condenses into 1 year. And this is a pattern. They do this with all their players. They add void years, which, yes, of course, what that does is it enables you to be more aggressive, to have more cap space from within the season. But also what it does is it inevitably is going to severely damage future cap space. It's a gamble, right? You have to really believe in a player to do that, because if Jalen Hurts ever got hurt next year or he wasn't the same player, there's no out of that contract. Like, we all talk about how we could get out of this Daniel Jones contract easily after this year. That doesn't exist for a team like the Eagles with this type of deal and several of their other type of deals that they construct this way. But if you're built like the Philadelphia Eagles are and you feel like you're in a Super Bowl window, this is the proper approach. You want to try to capitalize on that window for that 3 or 4 year stretch that you feel like you could really truly compete for a Super Bowl. But I think the Giants have to build their team up first. They have to build their foundation, the offensive line, the defensive line, and feel like they have a roster that could truly compete for a Super Bowl before you start to do things like this. And I do think there will come a time, maybe in 80 years, when the Giants have a good foundation where they can backload salaries and try to be aggressive. But that's why it's not like they're magicians. They construct their deals where they severely backload them, and it gives them an opportunity to be able to compete in the here and now. Let's see. Allison, thank you for popping in. She says, "How do you feel about Drew Lock? Screw Saquon." He's fine. I mean, I don't. He's not gonna be a starter, but he's fine. He's a solid backup, average backup. He's a guy that if Jones is not gonna play or if he gets hurt, he won't embarrass us. I don't think he's a guy that I want starting for my football team, but he's a solid backup. He's a decent quarterback. Chris Sims said in 2019 that Drew Lock was the most talented quarterback with the most potential coming out in the draft. Well, Chris Sims was wrong. Sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong. Let's see. You know what? Screw it. I'm going O-line at 6. Wow. Yeah, highlights of Brian Burns. You guys want to see highlights of Brian Burns? Let's do it. Let's do it. This guy usually makes... Oh, no, never mind. I have not watched any of these, so I'm looking for... I'll just go with the one with the most views. There you go.
Brian Burns, the two-time Pro Bowler right there.
Ritter. Ball knocked out. It's close. And recovered by Ritter. Ritter is going to be smothered at the 47-yard line. Smothered, it'll be 4th down, back at the 46.
Rocked him.
Brian Burns again.
2nd and 11. Smith. He gets sacked. Brian Burns. It's Mostert right here. Smythe with the block. He slips, he bounces, and he's rustled out of bounds.
Stroud has to escape.
That running back had no chance. I think that was Singletary. That was. That's our running back trying to block Burns. He had no chance.
Playing about as well as you can imagine right now.
Pressure up. Prescott throws incomplete. Good pressure. Looks to Dowdle. Rico Dowdle gets swallowed up by Brian Burns.
There's the play action to Henry.
There's good Ben.
Levis climbed in the pocket, and it looked like Brian Burns kind of held the arm. A couple of 90-plus yarders. Screen pass, Kyle Phillips. Really nice Carolina stand. Brian Burns finishes it off.
Made a million every day out the streets. I really seen it. When I go to sleep at nightmares, barely have a good dream.
Levis trying to set up the screen. It's deflected by Burns, and it hits the deck incomplete.
Fuck you mean that you fucked up and you free. Every bitch I ever had was fucked up over me. Realest nigga.
Deep drop off the fake. Ritter. Release, and Burns was there in front of Bijan
Active
Robinson.
hands, right? You see a lot of batted balls.
There's Bijan Robinson, and he lost the football. It belongs to Carolina.
Me and Papa B with me, we shit ain't not no roll off. Cool the man saying eye to eye, that shit really hurt my heart. Try to phone and talk to nobody's on the yard. Most of my niggas got
Third and 9, Beathard. Beathard under duress, he's buried. Brian Burns. Monster.
I can never think of selling out, nigga. I'm all nigga. Even in the sun, I can't unthaw, I'm just that raw nigga. Fuck home, y'all niggas.
And he has. On third down here, boy, they weren't fooled. Trying to break a couple of tackles is Dearness Johnson.
Third down and 4. Mayfield wrapped up.
No chance.
Down he goes. Back at the 21-yard line.
I like him, man. I'm excited for Brian Burns. I'm just excited for this pass rush in general. I don't want to get too ahead of myself, man. Let me just let me ask you guys this. Do you guys think it's crazy? Do you guys think it's crazy that this pass rush this year? What's up, Trevor, man? Thank you very much. He says, how would you build a team when starting a rebuild? Oh, you know my answer, man. Offensive line. Offensive line. Now, you never pass up on a quarterback if you love one, if you're picking at the top of the draft. But I would never force one either. But offensive line, man. Offensive and defensive line. That's it, man. I would attack that until I got it right. And then I would go from there, man. I'd start my foundation. But offensive and defensive line, man. Let's see. I forgot what I was going to say. I was going to say something. Why not be thrilled with Singletary? He's only making $5.5 million a year. He's service. I'm fine with Singletary. He's definitely a serviceable running back. Oh, that's what I was going to say. What do you guys think of this take? Do you think the pass rush this year has a chance to be as good or better than the 2016 pass rush with Olivier Vernon, JPP, Snacks? I think it's going to be better. I think it could be better. Could be better with Brian Burns, Dexter Lawrence, Kayvon Thibodeau. Yeah, man. I'm excited. I'm excited for this pass rush. But what do you guys think? You guys think it could be better than that? Kingzo says yes. Red says hell no. Tanner says way better. I think it could be, man. I really do. And Jay Huncho says Burns seems to blow up running backs in the backfield. We need him to do that that would be nice. Well, is he even still there? Oh, you're talking about – I thought you were talking about Boston Scott because he always kills us. But obviously you're talking about Saquon Barkley. I'm still not used to him being an Eagle. Let's see. That'd be nice. But, yeah, you definitely look good against the run in those highlights. At least they're highlights, but you look good against the run in those highlights. Healthy, we should be better. I didn't even mention Azeez Ojulari, who's, he's a rotational edge at this point. But, yeah, I think this pass rush could be really good. But, yeah, like you said, it comes down to health. Sports Fan says Kayvon needs to break out more now. Pro Bowl season. I think, Kayvon, you have to think Kayvon is going to reach another level this year now that he's got Burns on the other side of him. And you also have to think that Burns may reach another level. And I know he played with Hassan Reddick, I think at least 1 year. But you have to think Burns is going to reach another level, playing on the same line as Dexter Lawrence and Kayvon Thibodeau. So I think one's going to help the other, man. I'm really excited about this defensive line next year. Really excited. I think it would be comparable to JPP Tuck and Kiwanuka. That was a damn good line, man. OC2 was on that line, right? So I don't know about that, but I think it's comparable to the 2016 one, or certainly could be. I don't like Aziz, Bill, but for a rotational player, he's clearly not going to be here after this year. Mark says, how is Aaron Robinson still on the team? Good question. I think we would save, like $1.5 million if we cut him. He was definitely one of the 3 or 4 most likely candidates that I thought would be cut. Glowinski was the most obvious, but he still might be. He still might be. I liked Aaron Robinson when we drafted him. I really did, but he's never – I mean, injuries have a lot to do with it, but he's never amounted into anything. Let's see. No effing way Shane drafts McCarthy. All right, let's get the chat's reaction from this now. I think this is going to be very divided. If Joe Schoen took J.J. McCarthy at 6th overall in this year's draft, what would your reaction be? If Joe Schoen took J.J. McCarthy in this year's draft at number 6, I honestly think you would have a lot of people that would have live draft reactions like I did when we took Daniel Jones. I would not be one of those people. But what would your reaction be if we took J.J. McCarthy at 6th overall? Worse than Daniel Jones. Never J.J. Little Boulder says, I'd be so mad. Nick says, gone. I'm destroying my TV. Pissed. No, I wouldn't be happy. I think he is worse than Daniel Jones. Wow. People would be mad about this, man. Kelly says, McCarthy, fire him on the spot. Kelly says, McCarthy has to take McCarthy at 6. Otherwise, you'd have to move down and get Penix at 10. So it's easy McCarthy or Penix. I mean, I agree if they love one of those quarterbacks, they're going to take one more than likely, but I don't know if they'll love one of them enough to take at 6. But I agree they would if they're taking a quarterback, they're not going to trade down and hope one falls to them, if that's what you were insinuating. Shane is dead to me. I would consider becoming a Jets. No, you wouldn't, Joe. He consistently misses slant patterns, across patterns, and even easy short passes. I'd be happy. Anything better than DJ, Welvin says. DC Drop says, what is your reaction to the Giants about the sign? They already did. It's obviously not a move I'm going to be super excited about. He's a guy that's going to probably barely crack the roster. He's going to help on special teams. It's fine. But he's not going to be getting any reps over, Wandell and Slayton and I think Neighbors if we draft him, and Hyatt. He's going to be in the back end of that core. Mandeep, man, thank you very much, man. Stand up, new member. Let's ask another question to the chat. I'm going to give my answer, and I asked this question 2 years ago, and it was a very unpopular answer when I said it because people loved him. I said Kadarius Toney going into his second year, I thought was the most overrated player on the Giants. Who do you think right now today, I'm not talking about overpaid, what player on this team do you think is the most currently, things could change, but currently is the most overrated player on the New York Giants roster right now? Like, who is held in way too high of a regard by the fan base on this Giants roster? I don't think DJ's overrated. I think Giants fans hate DJ. I don't think he's overrated. Waller, Tibbs, Waller, Tibbs, Waller, yeah. Andrew Thomas, no. Clinton, I could get maybe you arguing that Andrew Thomas is overrated in the eyes of Giants fans in comparison to the rest of the league. But how could you have watched last year's team when Andrew Thomas didn't play and the line was bad enough when he was in there? But how could you watch last year's offensive line when Andrew Thomas didn't play and say that he's overrated? When Andrew Thomas didn't play last year, it's almost a statistical fact. The Giants had like the worst offensive line in the history of the NFL when he didn't play. It made me appreciate Andrew Thomas even more. Certainly not overrated. Way too important to this team. I love Andrew Thomas. A lot of people saying Tibbs, man. Tibbs is going to have a lot to prove this year. I will say that. Tibbs is going to have a lot to prove this year. I'm going to say a name that you guys may not like to hear because I think he's a fan favorite and I think people like him. And I'm not saying that he can't turn out to be good. He definitely could. I'm going to say it, though. I think Jalin Hyatt's a little overrated by the fan base. I think he's a bit overrated. Right now, I would have Darius Slayton well above Jalin Hyatt. I would have Wan'Dale well above Jalin Hyatt. And I would have, if we took a guy like Neighbors, well above Jalin Hyatt. I think Hyatt's a little overrated. Now, I'm not saying that Hyatt can't turn out to be good, and I'm not saying that I'm sure he didn't benefit from the fact that we weren't able to throw the ball down the field due to the quarterback and due to the offensive line. But I think he is a bit overrated right now. Doesn't mean he can't turn out to be good. Let's see. And Yusef says Kayvon is overrated. Here's what I'm going to say about Kayvon. I thought Kayvon was underwhelming last year. I don't think his stats told the whole story, because if you just look at his stats, you would have said he had a very good year. But the thing I'm going to say about Kayvon and why I'm not going to consider him overrated yet, although I do think he has a lot to prove this year, being that he's got a lot more help now with Brian Burns. I think he's in a defense that's better suited to fit his skill set, where they're not going to drop it back in coverage as frequently as they did with Wink Martindale. But I think it's fair to say, and we have to see it more consistently, but I think it's fair to say Kayvon has shown on multiple occasions that he's capable of being a game wrecker. And that's not incredibly common. Like, he has taken over multiple games since he's been in the NFL in the short sample size that he's had. So I will agree that last year was certainly underwhelming, and I expected him to be more consistent and better. I do think he still has elite ability. It's just a matter of getting it out more consistent. So I'm certainly not off the Kayvon train. I still think he could be really, really good. I'm not going to say the level of like a Bosa, but I think he could be a really, really good player for this team. But yeah, I thought last year was somewhat underwhelming. Fabian says Dable is overrated quarterback whisperer running it back. I mean, a lot of fans are going to feel that way after last year. Brian Dable is overrated. How do you guys feel about that comment? How do you guys feel about that comment off of last year? Dable, of course, won coach. Talk about a backwards trajectory. He won Coach of the Year his first year, led a team to the playoffs that nobody expected to sniff the playoffs. And then last year, the team completely melted and bombed. I don't know how much you put that on Dable, and I don't know how much you don't. But what does the chat feel about that? Do you think Dable is overrated? Are you now starting to fall off the Dable train? Do you think Dable is going to be replaced in the not too distant future? What do you guys think about Dable? Dave's learned a valuable lesson. Let's see. Giants draft Joe Biden. You think Bill Belichick's going to... Nah, man. Bill Belichick's too old, man. I don't think that's going to happen. And MD, what's going on, man? Tana, if the Giants can't get a quarterback they see as a future starter this draft, what do they do next season? Long-term outlook isn't great anytime soon. I mean, I don't have the answer for you, MD, because I don't know where we're going to be picking the following year. I get it. I get why fans want to take a quarterback this year, because you don't know when you're going to have this opportunity again where you're picking high in what is perceived to be a strong class at the quarterback position. I get it. We'll find out what they do. But there's always options. You could potentially trade if they continue to build up the team. Say next year they feel like they're in a much better place. if you can't draft one, you could potentially trade for one. I'm not saying that that's what I want. Obviously, I would always prefer to draft a quarterback, but it's hard for me to tell you without knowing the possibilities. Ideally, I would love to draft one, but I want to draft the right one too. I don't want to just draft one to draft one, because then if you're wrong, you set the franchise back another 5 years. So, especially if you trade up for one and you give up multiple draft picks and you're committing the 3rd overall pick to a guy, and it could be a disaster all over again. So you better be right if you do that. So I don't want to just pick one to pick one. I want them to love the guy if they're doing it. But it's a tough question to answer, man. It is. If Shane loves a quarterback, he's going to take one. I've thought that all along. I just don't know if he's going to love one with our pick. Let's see. Dable got this team to play their hardest during a meaningless. He's a good coach. Yeah, I think you could take some pros and cons out of last year with Dable. He definitely made several questionable decisions, especially early on in the year. I hated the way that he handled Daniel Jones in that first game. It made no sense. Regardless of how you feel about Daniel Jones, it made no sense to leave your starting quarterback out on the field with 3 minutes left or whatever it was against that Cowboys defense when you were down 40-0 after you pulled all the starters. He made several other questionable decisions early on last year. But by the same token, yeah, I think that's encouraging that down the stretch, when the team had nothing to play for, other than pride and potential future contracts, the team went out there and they were competitive. They beat a good Rams team. They nearly beat, or I don't remember. Did we beat the Rams? Did we beat the? I can't even remember. It was a close. I know it was at least a very close game. They beat the Eagles, so they were competitive down the stretch. They fought for Dable. They won 3 straight. So I think you can take some. That's a pro. I don't know if I want to use the term overrated for Dable, but I think he's got more to prove. But that's most coaches in the NFL. We lost to the Rams, but it was a close game. That's right. They beat the Packers. And Gaming says, would you trade back for the Vikings for a 2nd-round pick? No. We're drafting with both 2nd-round picks. Love the content, dude. Let me make sure I understand what you're asking me, because I want to make sure. Let me look at the draft order. And thank you, man. I appreciate it, man. I'm going to have my first mock draft up probably in 4 or 5 days after all the dust settles from free agency. So I wasn't quite sure what you were asking me, so I wanted to look before I responded, because I'm looking at – I wasn't sure if you were asking – I didn't know the picks that the Vikings have. So the Vikings have the 11th overall pick, the 42nd overall pick, and the 108th overall pick. So let me read your question again and make sure that I understand it. Would you trade back with the Vikings for a 2nd-round pick? So basically what you're asking me is, would I trade back from 6 to 11 to get the 42nd pick? That's the question? And let me keep reading. Who are drafting with both 2nd-round picks. Love the content, dude. If that's your question, my answer is no. I'm not dropping from 6 to 11 for the 42nd pick. I would need more than that. I would need 2 seconds at least to do that. And I would strive to get a future first. But if I'm dropping from 6 to 11, I mean, that's a big difference that early in the draft. Yeah, man, especially if you're trading up for a quarterback, I'm charging you a premium. I did a video on this like 2 or 3 years ago when I looked at the points chart, and when you compared it to when teams traded up for quarterbacks, on average, you tack on about 25 to 30% of what you typically would go off of on the chart. When you average out what teams have done in the past when they trade up for quarterbacks. So it's a premium. So if the Vikings are trading up from 6 to 11 to get, say, J.J. McCarthy, who I would assume would be the guy, I want a future first, man. I want a future first. I definitely want at least 2 twos. I need more than just a 42nd pick if I'm trading back that much. Let's see. Let's see. But thank you, man. I appreciate it. Sean says, is it possible when Kayvon contract is up, they don't pay him because they are paying Burns? I mean, if he sucks, yeah. But if he's good, no, I think they'll pay him. I don't think they're going to let Brian Burns' contract not allow them to sign Kayvon if they really like the player. You could never have enough talented edge rushers, right? It didn't stop us from paying Osi Umenyiora. And I mean, I know Osi used to always hold out and try to get as much as he could, but we found a way to keep Osi and Tuck. Well, we still had Eli making a lot of money. So no, man, you could never have enough edge rushers, man. You have to pay those guys. They're way too important. It's either the second or third most important position in football, right? The tackle, the edge, the quarterback. So no, man, if he's a really good player, you keep him. And JR, thank you. Stand up. New member, man. Welcome to the squad, man. Face says, great to see you still doing your thing, bro. Keep up. I appreciate it, man. Can you see the Giants moving up to 1 and giving the Bears 3 first? No. To me, that was always the most bogus rumor leading up into the draft. When people were saying that the Bears are going to trade out of 1. There's no chance the Bears are trading out of 1. There was never a chance that the Bears were trading out of 1. The only reason that was even leaked and it was thought possibility is because the Bears didn't want to appear desperate to trade Justin Fields. They're not trading out of 1. They're going to stay there, and they're going to take Caleb Williams. I promise you. Ryan Poles there's no way. Last year, he passed up on the opportunity to take C.J. Stroud. This year, he's going to pass up on the opportunity to take Caleb Williams after he traded back and got future draft capital. No chance. He's staying at 1. He's taking Caleb Williams. They're going to trade Justin Fields for like a second-round pick. That's what's going to happen. They're not trading that pick. And Washington's not trading their pick. And if they were going to trade their pick, which they're not going to do, they would never trade it to us. So the only even remote possibility is the 3rd pick if you're thinking about trading up to get a quarterback. And I don't think New England's trading out of that pick. New England just got a brand new head coach. They're trying to sell hope to a fan base. And the argument I consistently hear from people is, well, New England has a horrible supporting cast. So how are you going to be able to support a quarterback? Coming from Giant fans. Okay, and I'm not against taking a quarterback if you love one. I'm for it. But our supporting cast sucks too. So Giants fans try to reason and say, well, the Patriots, they won't take a quarterback at 3, but the Giants, whose supporting cast sucks too, is going to trade up to 3, give up draft capital in doing so, and draft a quarterback. Doesn't add up to me. New England has a new head coach. They need a quarterback. They're trying to sell hope. There's a premium player at that position, at that pick. I think they're taking a quarterback. And today I think the Patriots signed Jacoby Brissett. Perfect mentor, right? Perfect mentor for a potential rookie quarterback. That to me only enhances my thought process that they're going to take a quarterback. I don't think any of those teams are trading out. I think the Bears are going quarterback. I think Washington's going quarterback. I think the Patriots are going quarterback. And we'll find out from there. Let's see. And Anthony says, I think only 3 quarterbacks are going in the first round. Every year, quarterbacks gets hyped the most, and usually not as many go as predicted. I think at least 4 go. But I could certainly see only 4. I think at least 4 go. At least 4 go. But I could see Penix not going in the first. I could see, what's his name? Bo Nix not going in the first. I started to see rumors today. I don't know where it came from. I didn't get a chance to read it. I saw rumors today that the Patriots may have been interested in Bo Nix. That would be wild if that was the case. I don't see that happening, but I think at least 4 quarterbacks go in the first round. Let's see. You could get a quarterback at 6. Sure, you could get a quarterback at 6. That's not the question. You can always get a quarterback at 6. Can you get a quarterback at 6 that's worth the pick? That's the real question. Of course, you could get a quarterback at 6. We could have gotten a quarterback at 6 in 2019. We did. We got Daniel Jones. And if we didn't get him, we would have gotten Drew Lock. And if we didn't get him, we would have gotten Dwayne Haskins. And if we didn't get none of those guys ended up working. Rest in peace to Dwayne Haskins. But just because you can get one doesn't mean you should take one. Let's see. And Allison says, can you run a quick 1-round mock draft? I'm saving it, Allison. I'm going to do my first mock draft in like 4 days. So I'm going to save it. I'm waiting until free agency. I want to say I don't want to do any mock drafts until my first official one. And then we'll do plenty of them. I promise you. But I'm going to save it until I do my first like official mock draft. I'm going to do a video of that in like 3 or 4 days. So I'm just waiting for free agency to conclude. And then after that, man, yeah, we'll definitely do a ton of hangouts and live streams where we do mock drafts. But I want to save my first one for like the video. Abe says, with the loss of Saquon Barkley, X, and Abe, Rob, what comps can we get? Abe, it's like, it's so complicated. Like when you go on this site, I was actually looking at it today because I was curious myself. When you go on this site, the way that let me see if I can find it. Yeah, this is it right here. I don't know how they do this because it's based off of APY. That's how they get negated. And the Giants right now, they only have getting a 7th round pick. And I don't understand it when I do the math. And these are going to change because Adoree Jackson's going to sign a contract. He'll get a decent amount of money. I think we're getting a lot more than what the site is currently projecting. But let me pull it up for you guys. This is like what the current compensatory picks are projected. Like the Dolphins, for example, they lost Christian Wilkins and they lost Robert Hunt. And they didn't really spend any money, right? Like Jordan Brooks got $10 million, Aaron Brewer got $7 million. That got negated by the loss of Andrew Van Ginkel and Raekwon Davis. So they kind of negated each other. So as of now, they're projected to get 2 third-round picks for Wilkins and Hunt because they had nothing offset it, and a 6th-round pick for Brandon Jones. You look at the Bills, they haven't really signed anybody, at least maybe they have since. But Gabe Davis, they're projected to get a 4th-round comp because he got $13 million per year on average. Leonard Floyd, a 5th-round comp for $10 million. You go down to the Giants, I don't understand the math here. So they have every pick completely negated right now, and they get like a 7th-round comp pick. Xavier McKinney gets $17 million a year on average. They haven't been getting, like, even if you add up all of these contracts, $5 million for Locke, $10 million for Runyon, Illuminar got seven, and Singletary got 5.5. Even if you add all of that up, that's 20.5. That's $27.5 million. McKinney and Barkley alone is 29.5. Tyrod's another 9. That's 38.5, and then A'Shawn's another 7.5. I don't understand. I have to do more research, but I don't understand how it's a complete negation by these picks. I don't get that, but that's what it's currently showing. I don't think that's going to be the case, but we'll see. I do think they'll end up with some comp picks. Let's see. And James Kent says, if Shane doesn't knock this draft out of the park, we're going to suck for a long time. I'm terrified for this year. We might be worse. I mean, I agree with you because he better knock it out of the park, because if he ends up not doing well this year, it's going to certainly be trending towards, I think he definitely gets another year, but it's certainly going to be trending towards he's going to get replaced in the near future. And then a new GM is going to come in and we're going to knock it all down again. And so I agree. This is a pivotal year for Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll. It's a huge draft. It's a huge year in general. CR says, I really hope MetLife boos the shit out of Saquon when they play the Eagles. Greetings from Vienna. I appreciate that, man. I have no doubt in my mind that they're going to boo the shit out of Saquon. He's an Eagle. I mean, I'm sure there'll be some fans that show appreciation, but he's an Eagle, man. At the end of the day, if he played anywhere else, we would cheer for him. But CR says, and thank you, CR. And JJ says, thank you for all that you do. Lifelong G-Man fan from Jersey, living in, I think, Michigan. I'm still getting used to the state abbreviations because I do that all day at my job. I truly believe that Daboll is not overrated and is going to have a great season 3. Sexy Dex is going to eat this year. I'm certainly not out on Daboll. I'm also going to be smart and not overcommit in my love for him. Like, he's got more to prove. But I agree with you. I'm far from out on Daboll. I think he has things to learn from last year, and I think a lot of young coaches go through ebbs and flows, and we'll see how he's able to adjust. But I certainly think he's a guy that the team likes playing for. But we'll see. A lot of people are going to poke fun at the fact that he was thought to be this offensive mastermind, and the offense last year looked pitiful. The offense the first year certainly overperformed. They ranked middle of the league with an offense that didn't have a whole hell of a lot of talent. So we'll see. We'll see what he's able to do in year 3, man. You got to hope it gets better. I think it will. I don't think the Giants are going to be as bad as some may think this year, but certainly don't think we're going to be great. But we got to see how they build the rest of the team. Let's see. What's up, Chris? What government work do you do? Well, I'm not going to tell you that, but I work for the government. I'm a secret agent. No, I'm not. It's a much more boring job than that. Let's see. Mark says all the moves the Eagles have made, but they will still not make it out of the first or second round. I mean, it's tough to say, but right now I would definitely label the Niners above them. I would label the Lions above them. And I think call me crazy. I think, is this a hot take? I think the Green Bay Packers are going to be better than the Eagles next year. I think Jordan Love is awesome. I would take Jordan Love in a second over Jalen Hurts. I think Jordan Love is awesome. I would put the Packers over the Eagles. I'm a huge Jalen Love fan. Jordan Love fan, rather. Huge Jordan Love fan. And let's see. Do you think we will sign another corner? I do. It might be a cheaper veteran, but yes, I definitely think we're going to sign another cornerback for sure. The guy we signed today is a safety. I think that's where he projects to play. I think we're going to add a corner. Let's see. LA Lou says the Rams are going to be better than the Niners. That's it. I mean, you guys definitely showed promise, especially as the year closed out, Lou. And the Rams definitely surprised me last year. I can't put you above the Niners, man. The Niners are so good. But you're gonna be good, man. How you doing, Chris? Thanks for taking the comment. You're welcome, Andrew. Do you think the good outweighs the bad when it comes to Waller? What good? What good? What good? What good has Waller provided the Giants? So no, I mean, not all necessarily his fault. The quarterback play was awful last year. He got hurt, which you could have didn't really bring much good to the Giants last year. Yeah, no, not a lot of good for Waller. He has the most yards by a tight end when he got hurt. He had the most yards. Darren Waller had the most yards in the NFL by a tight end when he got hurt. Is that accurate? What's up? I don't think that's accurate. What's up, Knock Andrew, man? Thanks for popping in. They are over. That is true, really. Wow, I did not know that. Let me look at Darren Waller's stats. Hold on. I'm in favor of keeping Waller, by the way. I don't want to cut Waller. I mean, he might retire. Waller had 552 yards in 11 games. Oh, but he got hurt 8 weeks in. So after week 8, Waller had, let me do the math. 72 plus 51 is 123 plus 45 is 168. So take 552, subtract 168. 300 and what is that? 384 yards, I think. So he had 384 yards through 8 weeks. You're telling me that through 8 weeks, 384 yards was the leading receiver for tight end? I mean, he didn't have a game where he had 100 yards. I wouldn't say he was abysmal last year, but he's, I don't know, man. It certainly wasn't good enough. And let's see. Wow, that's a crazy stat if that's true. Red Formula, he says, I'm thinking we draft a quarterback. I'm thinking if we want to draft a quarterback, DeVito gets cut. What do you think? I don't think he'll get cut. I think he'll just be on the practice squad. Red Formula. I don't think he'll get cut. He's under contract. I think they would just stick him on the practice. I mean, unless another team claimed him, which is possible. It's certainly possible. Yeah, he could get claimed elsewhere, but I don't think we'll cut him. But maybe a team claims him if we can't stick him on the practice squad. But I think the plan would be to keep him on the practice squad. John Ray, stand up. New member, man. Welcome to squad. Chris types like he pours the milk first before the cereal. Do I pour the milk first before the cereal? I do not. I don't have a lot of cereal anymore. I used to eat cereal all the time, but I do not. Now what I will say is, and I don't put milk in my coffee anymore. I drink it straight black. I used to pour my milk in before I put my coffee. I actually found that tasted better when I did that. But I do not put my milk in before my cereal. I put my cereal in before my milk so I could assure that I get a good disparity between cereal and milk. It's hard to blindly estimate that you put in the proper amount of milk, for me at least, before you put in the cereal. So no, I actually take the opposite approach. I put the cereal in first, then I pour the milk on top. JJ, what's going on? He says, Bad Dog, you rock. Bellinger, have a big year, man. I appreciate that, man, and can't wait. Thursday, I'll be live on Bad Dog on his channel, man. Can't wait to be on there talking Giants with all you guys. But, yeah, we'll see. I think, well, let's find out if Waller's back. But if Waller's not back, you got to figure Bellinger's going to have an expanded role in the offense. So we'll see. Obviously, a fan favorite, a guy that a lot of people were excited about when we brought him in, and I would expect him to get an expanded role if Waller were to retire. But if not, obviously, I think Bellinger would be utilized more as a blocker. Cereal is $10. Is that true? Is that true? Yeah, I know we just signed a receiver. We signed a dude from the Bills. Elijah says, do you think the Giants will take Michael Penix in the second round if he is there? Thanks for the streams. Love him. I appreciate it, man. Sure, I think it's possible. I wouldn't consider it probable, but it's certainly possible. That's if we're going to take him, that's where we would take him. Rob says, who do you want opening game? Any preference? I want the weakest team on our schedule. Thursday, doctor. Who has more sacks between Kayvon and Burns? I think Burns. I mean, I have to say Burns. If I had to guess who's going to have more. But, I mean, it's a guessing game. But Burns is what, like 46 sacks in 5 years? You got to go Burns if you're picking one or the other. For me, at least, if I had to guess. Can we get a forget about it? There you go. Forget about it. If you listen to 90% of this fan base that wanted to take Malik Willis, I wouldn't say 90%, but there was definitely a portion of it. Listen, sometimes you're going to be right, sometimes you're going to be wrong. But yeah, I was certainly not part of that 90%. Shaw says, Chris, much love. Still don't think we did enough at O-line. Need a stalwart, not tier. I think you meant second tier guys. Also, let's get Neighbors Rome and a cornerback. Yeah, I would have preferred. I think what happened is Shane saw that the guard market was much higher than he felt like it should have been, which I happen to agree with. The top paid guard got $20 million a year, and he said, I'm not shopping there. I will go for more mid-tier guys. I'll get a guy from the Raiders. I'll get a young guy from the Packers and hope that these guys can be serviceable players in the short term. I'm not going to spend $20 million a year on a guard. That's what I think happened. Had that market been in the $15, $16 million range, we may have went for the higher end guard in this year's free agency class. But that's what I think happened. I think the guard market was higher than he anticipated. And I do think we will draft the lineman relatively early in this draft. And JJ says, hot take is if Evan Neal stays at right tackle. Hot take is Evan Neal stays at right tackle and Bowles out. JJ, man, I sure hope you're right, man. I personally think right now you're smoking crack. That's how I feel right now, JJ. I'm picturing you smoking crack, but I hope you're right. But I certainly don't expect it. Evan Neal, to me, has been super underwhelming since he's been in the league, and I hope he proves me wrong. And I'm always a guy that's very patient. I haven't completely given up on the guy. He's got. I'm going to give him one more year before I completely close the door on him, but I have very little hope for Evan Neal. And listen, maybe the offensive line coach snaps his fingers and he's able to turn this guy into what we were all hoping we were going to get with the 7th overall pick. I hope that's the case. I think at some point we're probably going to move him to the guard, and maybe he ends up being a really good guard. It's certainly possible, but I have not been impressed with. I have not been impressed with him, and I don't know, man. Let's see. Delia says that Drew Lock signing doesn't mean a thing. One way or the other, it doesn't mean a thing. I agree with that. Let's see. Bowers or Alt should be the pick. What would I think both of those guys would not be the most popular picks amongst Giant fans. If you ask me which I would prefer if we had to take one, I would take Alt. I'm not a huge fan of taking a tight end that high. I'm not saying it couldn't work. It's just not my preference. Thoughts on us trading up to 3 in the draft, and what would it take? 3 seconds. I mean, there's evidence of it. That the Jets, that's what the Jets had to give up to move up from 6 to 3 to get Sam Darnold for a quarterback. So, and that's in recent history. So that would be at least my projection. Do you think Drew Lock could compete with Daniel Jones and take the starting job? I think I won't rule it out. Especially if Jones, I mean, let's see what we do in the draft first before we even talk about this. Let's see what we do in the draft. And JJ says, how do you feel about JMS at center and Runyon? I'm JMS, I got to see another year before I really start to formulate a hardcore opinion on him. But I will say with JMS, what's a bit discouraging is he's an older prospect, right? He came into the league. I think he's if I'm not mistaken, JMS is older than Andrew Thomas, I think, or the same age. I think JMS is 25. So he came in as an older prospect. So not that I expected a near finished product in his a near finished product in his first year, but I was hoping for a bit more in his rookie year. But I'm obviously giving JMS the full year this year before I really even start to formulate a negative opinion on him. But I obviously got to see a lot of growth this year. Hopefully we get it. I was excited when we drafted the guy. And Runyon, I mean, you got to hope it works out. He's known to be a good pass blocker. He's young. He's not going to be a superstar, but could he be part of a good unit? Hopefully. He was part of a pretty good unit with the Green Bay Packers. So hopefully, man. Let's see. Shane says, if we don't pick a quarterback this year, who's there next year? Too early to say, man. Because if you would ask me that last year, the number 2 overall pick in this year's draft would have been on nobody's mind. Things change over the course of a college year. It's way too early to say. But Shedeur Sanders is going to be the popular name right now. That's most people would say he'd be the highest prospect going into next year right now. Jay Buzz says, if offense guaranteed for the first 2 picks, I wouldn't say guaranteed, but I would lean more likely than not. Especially after seeing what we did in free agency, I would lean more likely than not. But I don't think it's a foregone conclusion. If they really love, a linebacker or a corner that may be there in the second round, I certainly think they could take one. I don't think they would shy away if they thought a certain player was, the best prospect on their board or an edge rusher or whatever. So I would lean, like if you ask me right now, yeah, I would certainly lean either wide receiver and a quarterback, wide receiver and a lineman. That would be where I'd project, but certainly not a lock. Independent says, draft a lineman to play the side he plays. Don't switch him. 2, some nice guards we could probably get 3rd or 4th round. 3, X receiver at 6 for me. So you probably want a Dunze if you're talking X receiver at 6. Independent, I get what you're saying, especially in recent history with the Giants, because we've been bit by that. Evan Neal, even though Evan Neal did play some right tackle at college, I think it was much earlier on in his career. While he was at Alabama, I think he played on the right side for his freshman year, if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe he may have played some. I think somebody in the chat let me know. I think I remember he might have played even a little bit of guard at the collegiate level, but obviously he quickly shifted to the left side. I get what you're saying, but at the end of the day, man, there are several examples that I could point to where guys played left tackle at the collegiate level and they played right tackle in the pros. What's his name? Zach Martin. He's obviously a guard in the NFL. He was a tackle at the collegiate level. And then there's several other examples that you could point to. Brandon Scherf, I think, was a tackle. He became a guard. I understand where fans are coming from, but at the end of the day, if the guy could play and you feel like he could play on the right side, the guy could play. Guard is a freshman, right tackle is a sophomore. There you go. Guard is a freshman, right tackle is a sophomore, and left tackle is a junior. I mean, obviously in an ideal world, sure, but most of the best, and thanks for being here, Nikki, most of the best tackle prospects are usually going to play on the left side. And not all the best tackle prospects are going to play on the left side in the NFL. Let's see. Should the Giants trade for Brandon Ayuk? If so, what should they offer? I'm saving the Knicks because I want to do it consistently, Giles. I'm going to save the Knicks commentary for the playoffs. And I know JD does it, and he's great. And I don't try to take away from their audience. I love JD. I don't try to take away from their audience. But people ask me during the playoffs, I'm going to do outside of me having to work maybe one night, I'm going to do every Knicks game during the playoffs. And hopefully it's a lot of them. Hopefully it's 4 rounds, but we'll see. But I don't expect to generate a huge crowd, but I have fun doing those. But yeah, at this point, I'm going to wait till the playoffs, and I'll do probably every playoff game or every playoff game that I could do. JJ says, I think this year's pass rush is better than 2016. I said that earlier. I can't say it's better yet, but I actually proposed that question to the chat. I said, is it a hot take to think that this pass rush has the potential to be better than the 2016 pass rush? And I don't think it's a hot take at all. Dexter Lawrence right now, you could argue, is the best interior defensive lineman in football. If he's not, he's among the top 2 or 3. You have Kayvon, who's at least a good to very good edge, and you could say the same thing about Brian Burns. So I don't think it's crazy to think that could be the case. John Kirk says 2021 draft looks like 2024. 3 quarterbacks, 1, 2, 3, Lawrence, Wilson, Lance, then 3 receivers, Pitts, Chase, Waddle. That's true. Pitts technically, you might as well be a receiver. Taking receiver top 6, much better odds. Well, yeah. John, you could say that, but I could just as easily make the argument. Well, I will agree with you. Statistics will probably say that taking a quarterback inside the top 10 is a much lower hit rate than taking a wide receiver in the top 10. I could just as easily argue taking a quarterback outside of the first round is, and I don't know this, I'd have to do a study on it, but if I had to bet it, I would think I'd be right. Taking a quarterback outside of the first round is a significantly lower hit rate than taking a wide receiver outside of the first round. Not to say that there's not successful quarterbacks taken outside of the first round. There's plenty. But a major reason why quarterbacks miss, in my opinion at least, if you take them inside the top 10, they are so much more dependent in terms of outside factors that they can't control than any other position in football, whether that be the offensive scheme, the play caller, the offensive line, the blocking. Not to say that that's not a factor for the wide receiver as well, but the quarterback is dependent on so many factors. And more often than not, when quarterbacks are drafted inside the top 5 picks, they're going to a horrible situation. So yes, statistically speaking, it's probably safer to take a wide receiver. It is probably definitely almost safer to take a wide receiver that high. But you could also just as easily argue that you could get much better value at that position, historically speaking, than the quarterback spot. So it's an interesting discussion. Let's see. Francisco says, thoughts on NFL free agencies, winners versus losers? I mean, you kind of never want to win. I mean, historically speaking, you usually don't want to win free agency when usually the teams that spend the most don't win the most. But I mean, I'd have to really look, but I think the Giants had a really good free agency. I think they filled a number of holes. They got one really impactful player. Obviously, they lost Barkley, but I expected that. They lost McKinney. I expected that. I'd have to really look. I know Washington must have been super active. They had so much cap space. Let me take a look. I'll look at some of the players now. Arizona Cardinals, a lot of mid-level players. Let's see. Oh, my God. That Darnell Mooney contract was awful by Atlanta. $13 million a year. I don't like that contract by Atlanta. Packers added McKinney and Jacobs. Pretty good. They lost Runyon and Savage, though. Washington, you knew was going to be the most active because they had the most cap space. So they added Eckler, they added Mariota as a backup. They didn't really add super impactful players though. Eagles, of course, Bryce Huff, Saquon Barkley. I hate that team. I don't know, man. All I can tell you as a Giants fan, I'm happy with the moves that we made. Steelers added Patrick Queen. That's a good pickup. The Steelers they are so good in terms of getting linebackers. I mean, they didn't draft him. They signed him in free agency, but you know Patrick Queen's going to do well there. That's a good pickup for them. Yeah, I mean, most people may say the Eagles just because of the names that they added. I mean, they added Bryce Huff, who was one of the top 2 or 3 edge rushers, and they added the top running back with Saquon Barkley. So a lot of people are going to say the Eagles, but I don't know. I like what we did. That's all I'll say, man. I like what we did. Let's see. Noah says, I feel people really underrate Kayvon. This guy had 11.5 sacks in a scheme that, in my opinion, did not help his case. That's fair. And what I'll say is I thought it was an underwhelming year for Kayvon. I expect him to be more impactful, but I do think some of that goes to what you said. He wasn't asked to do what he does best as frequently as he probably should have been. I don't think Wink's scheme did him a lot of favors. He still was he's the first player in the history of the Wink Martindale defense to have double-digit sacks. So he definitely had some impactful games. I just think as fans, we were thinking and hoping it was going to be more frequent. But also, to be fair to Kayvon, taking out that aspect of it, who did he have on the other side? Right? Azeez barely played last year. We went into last year thinking he was going to because we're fools. The guy always gets hurt. So that hurts him too. It makes it much easier for the opposing offensive line to be able to double team him when you don't got to worry about who you're worrying about on the other side. Jihad Ward, like when you don't have to worry about another guy that could do damage. So, yeah, I still like Kayvon a lot. I won't say that I was thrilled with his second year, but I'm far from down on the guy. I think he's still going to be a really impactful player for this team. Let's see. Steelers traded Deontay Johnson to Carolina. Makes sense. Carolina, they want to get as much help as they can for their young quarterback. Andrew says, thoughts on McKenzie and Jalen Mills? I mean, I'm not going to get, the McKenzie signings, whatever. I mean, special teams are important, but, I'm not going to, go crazy about that. I like the Mills signing. But again, I think he's a stopgap. I think he's like, a better version of this, but he's kind of like an Antoine Bethea signing where he's a veteran that's coming in with a young secondary he's going to play here for a year and he's probably going to move on. But we needed a veteran presence back there. And I think it's a good move. I think it was an appropriate move. Didn't spend a whole lot of money and brought in a guy that could help fill out the roster and bring some valuable experience to a position where we're really thin and young. So, yeah, I think it was a good move. Let's see. Kayvon needs to be 75% of Micah Parsons, not 60. But that's the other. I don't really care, man. I just want a guy that's a really good player. I don't need when we had Justin Tuck, for example, who I love. He's my second favorite Giant of all third favorite. No, probably second favorite Giant of all time since I've been watching the team. Justin Tuck was great, but he was never elite. But he was always really good. He was at the top. I don't need them to be Micah Parsons. I need them to be really good. And I need collectively us to have one of the best pass rush units in the NFL. That's what I hope we get back to. I obviously I would love him to be Kayvon, but I don't need it. I just need you to be really good. If he can be really good and Brian Burns can be really good, we could have a great pass rush. Let's see. Euphoric says, if DJ isn't ready by week 1, assuming we don't draft a quarterback, start Locke or DeVito week 1. I mean, I would start Locke. that first off, I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, maybe DJ's not ready, but I think we're going to draft some kind of quarterback. But I think no matter what, I'm starting Locke in that scenario. Even if we were to draft a quarterback in, say, the second round, I would start Locke to start the year. If Daniel Jones wasn't ready to go, I would start Locke. Let's see. Diego says, let's go, Chris. Let's order that Burn Zero jersey. I don't know, man. I'm not a huge fan of the Zero jersey. I don't know about you guys. I know it's unique. I don't know, man. I want my pass rushers to be in the 90s or the 50s for a linebacker. JJ says, do you think we'll have a typically good year because no one thinks we will win? I kind of do. It seems to always happen. I love your positivity, man. I love your positivity. I'm not going to go into the year defeated and think that there's no chance we could have a pretty good year. I'm definitely not going to do that because I don't think that's the case. I certainly think it's possible the Giants could be at least a pretty good team next year. But we got to try to stay healthy and we got to see what this defense is and what Dable could get out of this team. But I am obviously not going to have Super Bowl expectations. I'm not going to have division title expectations, but I think we could be a pretty good team, but we'll see. We'll see what the line looks like and the pass rush and everything else. What's up, Tyreek, man? Thanks for popping in. I'll hang out with you guys for about 5-10 more minutes. I'm going to call it because I got to get up early tomorrow. Sherrod says, and I want to watch a little TV. Sherrod says, watch the second half of the Knicks game. All I want for the Giants is to be competitive every week, please. That'd be nice. Kind of like 2022 for the most part. Love the moves. What's going on, Cade, man? Thanks for popping in. Anybody want to buy my Saquon jersey? How much do you think it would cost right now how much do you think it would cost if you went to the Giants store to buy a Saquon jersey? $5? $10? I didn't like the I didn't like the videos I saw of fans, and I get it, you're emotional, and a lot of those people are probably just doing it to try to get, views and likes and follows, but I didn't like the whole burning of the jersey thing, man. It's not a good look, man. The guy was a good Giant. He was a good Giant. I understand. I do not like what he did with signing with the Eagles, but I didn't like the whole burning of the jersey, man. And let's see. I'll give you my Saquon jersey for $20. There you go. Well, that's the problem with jerseys, man. Players are constantly leaving in today's day and age. And World's Heavy says they're still trying to get $65 for that's insane. I'm not happy about the Eagles part, but I will never fault the player for getting paid. Yeah, I'm the same way, Jason. Like, it's basically what I said. I think. What I tweet out yesterday. I basically said that. I said, let me read my exact tweet, and that's how I meant it. Basically, what you just said. I said, what did I say? Love Saquon as a Giant. I understand it's a business, and I'm pretty sure the Eagles deal was the best deal he was going to get. So saying there, I can't blame the guy for taking the highest offer, especially when he felt like he got lowballed from the Giants. And then I said, but if you wear Eagles green, you're an enemy. I hope Dexter Lawrence buries him. That's it, man. But I still respect Barkley. He just had unfortunate circumstances, man. He had a horrible team, and we never built around him properly, and we couldn't maximize his talent. Sucks that he's an Eagle, though. And let's see. And Jova says, if you were to make a deal for Justin Fields, what would you give up? I don't want to make a deal for Justin Fields, man. I don't want to make a deal for Justin Fields. I want no more than a third-round pick. But I don't want to trade for Justin Fields. I really don't. I don't want to trade for Justin Fields. I don't want to give up draft capital. We just gave up a second-round pick. Obviously, some people view Justin Fields differently than me. I don't think he's a franchise-changing quarterback. So I don't want to give up draft capital for Justin Fields. I'd rather use those picks, valuable picks, to continue to build the team. I'm not I don't know, man. I don't love the idea of trading draft capital for Justin Fields. Somebody's going to, and I'm not saying it's impossible. He'll be really good, but I don't want to. JJ says, I just put tape over Barkley with Singletary's name. Well, there you go. You didn't throw it out. You just altered it. Or Jenna says, just a curious question. How do these media heads like Adam Schefter and crew always know who's being traded and whatnot? I mean, I would assume Argenis over the course of time, they develop relationships, right? They develop relationships with players and general managers, and they get intel, inside information. I don't know how it works, but yeah, they network. Let's see. But yeah, I don't know how you qualify for that. I would love to have that job. Just be a guy that tweets out, just heard they're signing so-and-so. Let's see. The Giants screwed up Saquon's career from the start. Oh, yeah, they screwed up a lot of players' careers, but Saquon certainly included in that. The amazing guy, Amazing Tiny says, they leak BS to keep agents in exchange. They get to know when the deals are done. Yeah. Speaking of jerseys, can we start a petition to bring back the red unis? What's everybody's take on that? I have always thought the red uniforms, I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. I always hated the red jerseys. And maybe if I saw them again, my opinion would change. But I don't know. When I think Giants, I don't think all red. I don't know. I like the blue. I like the white. I like the color rush. I like the throwback. I was never a fan of the alternate all red jersey. I was never a fan, man. But some people definitely like them. Q-Dog, what's going on, man? Good to see you, man. How about the offseason? Hey, man, I think it was I love the Brian Burns pickup. Like, I know most Giant fans are going to be excited about that. Just go back to the OG. Yeah, I mean, Ronell, that's kind of like the Kayvon jersey that I own, the throwback. It's obviously a little bit more modernized, but it's similar, right? The color patterns and everything else. I'm with you. I love that. I think that should be their permanent jersey, not the alternate jersey. I think it's great. And let's see. T says, I have many doubts except this. KT plus Dex plus Brian Burns will produce synergy. The line will be better, the sum of the parts. When you say I definitely think the offensive line will be better this year, if that's what you mean. How much better? But it can't be worse. It was like one of the worst offensive lines in the history of football. But you got to figure out, you got to hope at least Andrew Thomas won't get hurt or hurt as long. JMS should be better, and you got to hope this offensive line coach is better. But question is how much better? Let's see. McKenzie signed quarterback at 6. What? Oh, yeah, sure, Jacob. Yeah, that means we're not taking a receiver. Saquon definitely doesn't end his career as a top 3 favorite Giant running back for me. Not even close. And Saquon was one of my favorite players on the team. I wanted to see him retired in the Ring of Honor. When you look back over the course of history, and it's not his fault. Like, there were several, like, I'm a Met fan. There's several Met players that I really liked. But in 20 years, I'm not going to remember them as well as I'm going to remember players that were, on winning teams, right? So it's the same thing here. Like, when I look back, not that the Mets have ever won a championship since I've been watching, but you get the point. When I look back at the Giants, I'm going to think of Brandon Jacobs. I'm going to think of Ahmad Bradshaw. I'm going to think of, guys that won, guys that were, part of Tiki Barber, even though he didn't win. He was part of good teams. It's unfortunate for Saquon. He didn't get that. He had horrible teams to play with. Rodney Hampton's another. Well, Rodney Hampton didn't really have winning teams, but I would probably remember Rodney Hampton first just because he was the best player on the team when I grew up and first started watching the team as a kid. But he wasn't really on great Giant teams. They made the playoffs a few times with Rodney Hampton. He was a great player. Charlie Way great player, fullback, but you get the point. Let's see. Vincent says, hey, Danny, just want to say thank you for putting out great in-depth content. Sticking with this team isn't easy, but I wouldn't have it any other way. We are with you. I appreciate it, Vin, man. I got no choice, man. I love this team too much. I love all my teams too much. I'm not running away from it. I mean, I could take the easy way out. I could have been a Yankee fan. I stuck with it. That's how I know I'm crazy and I'm a diehard. I'm not leaving the teams that I love. So just hope the Giants get better. Eventually they're going to, and eventually we'll have some fun, but it's been tough, man. It's been tough, man. Hampton was a rookie in 90. Yeah, I know he was. I started watching the Giants religiously around 96, but I definitely remember watching Charlie Way and Rodney Hampton, 93, 94. I definitely remember watching them then. Let's see. Tyrone Wheatley better than Saquon? Stop that. Stop that. Next you're going to say Ron Dane. What a horrible pick that was, Tyrone Wheatley. I was excited about that pick when I was a kid, but, oh, man, he was bad. Didn't work out for us. Let's see. Malik Neighbors, you are a Giant. Let's see. Our offense going to be garbage. Truck juice next season. I mean, what was it last year? You're probably right, but what was it last year? We got to be good. Stand up. What's going on, Rock? What's going on, man? Derek Ward is stop. We're taking it too far now. And Derek Ward was definitely part of Earth, Wind, and Fire, but we're taking it too far now. We're taking it a little too far now. Who's your most random Giant ever? Mine, Dwayne Harris. My most random Giant. That's such a random question. My most random Giant ever? I've actually been asked this question before, and for whatever reason, the first name that always pops in my head, I think it's because he went to Stony Brook, and I went to Stony Brook for a year, so I was rooting for the guy. I think I was Will Tye. He's just a random tight end that the Giants had. But there's so many names you could throw out there, but Will Tye, that's the first name that popped in my head. Let's see. Preston Parker, there you go. Peyton Hillis. Biggest what-if player in Giants history, like David Wilson would probably be the biggest what-if, but if not him, how about, here's what I'll say. I think this is a fairly obvious one, but the biggest what-if in Giants history since I've been watching is obviously Plaxico Burress. Obviously, you think about how it impacted a potential back-to-back Super Bowl or even maybe a potential dynasty. And possibly, you don't know if you win 2 in a row, as dominant as that team was, you build some, momentum and so on and so forth. But you think about not just that, you think about all the what-ifs in terms of potential Hall of Fame careers that impacted. If they won another Super Bowl, because you think about that Giants team, the only guy that's going to the Hall of Fame that played for both those Giants Super Bowl teams is Eli Manning. Strahan only played for one. The only guy that's going to the Hall of Fame is Eli Manning that played on both of those teams. If Burress never shoots himself, the Giants win 2 in a row, Burress may go to the Hall of Fame. Members of that offensive line may go to the Hall of Fame. David Deal, Sean O'Hara, Chris Snee, they may go to the Hall of Fame. You don't like Justin Tuck, Osi Umenyiora. They may have, right? Because if you win multiple Super Bowls, you start to gain more respect. So not only did it affect the possibility of going back-to-back, having a potential dynasty, it ruined guys that would have had a legitimate shot to probably be in Canton. Those guys would have had a shot if they won back-to-back that year. So, yeah, man, that's by far the biggest what-if for me, man. Let's see. Why couldn't have Plax have shot himself in Georgia or something? He would never. Yeah, they tried to make an example of him. Obviously he was an idiot, wearing a sweatpants to a club and not having an unlicensed weapon. But if I recall, what happened during that is the governor of New York. I think they had just passed Like it was like it just happened. They had just passed like a really strict gun law, and they made an example of him, and that's why he got as much jail time as he did. Let's see. Yes, Plax played for the Jets briefly. Let's see. It was Bloomberg that they like just passed some kind of gun law. Let's see. What if the Giants here is a huge play, one for you? Got his way. I don't know what you mean, but if you were asking, I mean, obviously, if we got Pat Mahomes, we'd be in much better shape if that's what you're asking me. What if the snap was better in the 0-2 wildcard game? I don't think that team was going to win a Super Bowl, Toasty. They were fun. Maybe they would have advanced another round. I don't think that team was going to win a Super Bowl. I think the 2015 team, maybe, if Coughlin was still the coach, they probably don't go out on that boat, and that defense was certainly good enough to win. That's maybe, but not the 0-2 team. Jumbo Elliott actually followed me on Twitter like a couple years ago. I was excited. What if we never drafted Jones? Well, let's play the what if we never drafted Jones in the world of reality. If we never drafted Jones, we would have taken Josh Allen at 6. I think that's fairly obvious. We would have taken Josh Allen at 6. At 17, we probably don't take Dexter Lawrence. Like if we took an edge rusher at 6, we probably don't take Dexter Lawrence. I don't know what we would have done at 17. I honestly don't. I honestly don't know what we would have done at 17. Because obviously in hindsight, you would say, oh, you take A.J. Brown or you take a wide receiver. But I don't think they would have done that. So I don't know what we would have done at 17 if we took Josh Allen at 6. I honestly don't know. Might have taken Jones. If Jones fell to 17, we might have taken Jones. But if we took Jones at 17, obviously you wouldn't have had nearly as strong of a commitment to him. But yeah, I honestly don't know. I honestly don't know how it would have worked out. But the following year, you figure if we were really bad, and who knows how bad we would have been if we added Josh Allen, it might have helped us win games if Eli was still the quarterback, not having a rookie back there. Maybe we win a couple of extra games and we don't have as high of a pick. But the next year, you figure if he was there, we would have probably taken Herbert, a guy that we were in love with the year before. But who knows? Who knows if we would have been picking there, right? So it's hard to say. But yeah, we would have had a different quarterback. Who knows if it would have been the right guy. Josh Allen was in that draft class. The pass rusher. The guy that I screamed about. I'm not talking about the quarterback. This guy's screaming at me, Stuart. Stuart's like, Josh Allen was not in that draft class. He's screaming at me. I know Josh Allen, the quarterback, wasn't. I'm talking about the pass rusher. The guy that I was dying for the Giants to take, who the Jaguars ended up taking. Let's see. Argenis says, one of my earliest memories of being a Giant fan was the 2018. That's the best Giants team in my lifetime in terms of talent. Not even close. Top 5 offensive line, top 5 defensive line. Like it was the Eagles, but better. Like in recent times, right? Like we were so good in the trenches. Eli Manning was, approaching near the top of his game. Weapons galore. Obviously when Spurs shot himself, it changed things, but that team was awesome. Let's see. Jamil says, Plax won a Super Bowl for us and lost one. Hurts. I still respect the hell out of Plax. I mean, I'm really mad and upset at him that he shot himself. I will say it to this day. Call me biased. I don't care. Plaxico Burress, I'm not just talking about in Giants history. If it wasn't the best individual performance I've ever seen a wide receiver have, it's got to be in the top 5. Factoring in the circumstance, negative 20 degrees or whatever it was in Green Bay, going up against Al Harris, who I believe was an all-pro corner that year. If not, he was a Pro Bowl corner. The dude undressed him in those conditions. Plaxico had 11 catches. I think he had like 130, 140 yards. That to this day is the great factoring in. It's the NFC title game on the road, the weather conditions, going up against a great corner. That to me, to this day, is maybe the best individual performance I've ever seen a wide receiver have. Certainly by a Giant, factoring in the magnitude of that game and the conditions and everything else. The greatest individual game I've ever seen a Giants wide receiver have. Let's see. And JJ says, I'm 43. Hampton, Tiki, Barber, Bradshaw are all, to me, better Giant G-men running backs. Tiki needs to be in the Hall of Fame. I hope we sweep the Eagles. Come on, DJ, bounce back. Tiki, I think, eventually will get in the Hall of Fame. If he played one more year, he certainly would have been. Listen, winning means a lot. And Jacobs and Bradshaw, I think, I think we all realize weren't better, more talented players, but in Giants history, yeah, it's kind of like the Knicks. When you think about the Knicks, like, let me ask you, for anybody that's a Knicks fan that's watching this, when in like 20 years, and everybody's different ages, so everybody's going to have different answers to this, but in 20 years, who are you going to remember more fondly? Are you going to remember Carmelo Anthony, who was a tremendous player? He was a great individual player, but are you going to remember Carmelo Anthony, or are you going to remember John Starks? Or are you going to remember Charles Oakley or Anthony Mason? Me? When you ask me who's more of a Knick to me, it's easy. That's John Starks. That's Charles Oakley. That's Anthony Mason. So it's the same thing with the Giants. Like in 20 years, I'm going to say Brandon Jacobs and Ahmad Bradshaw. They were part of teams that I still remember to this day that I love fondly. So it's the same thing. Willis limping onto the court, yeah. Well, Ewing is obvious. He's the greatest Knick of all time. Spreel and Allen Houston, of course, yeah. Diehard Bulls fan, but the Knicks of the 90s that was a great rivalry we had, man. Well, Patrick Ewing or Melo is not even a discussion. Patrick Ewing's the greatest Knick of all time. Big Mush says we should not let DJ see the field next year. One injury, and that's $20 million off of next year's cap. That's a wide receiver one. I don't think he's going to see. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. We'll find out. If we don't draft a quarterback, I think he's going to see the field. Like when I say draft, I mean like first round. If we do, he may very well not. Baseline dunk over Jordan and the Bulls in the Garden is my favorite memories. Obviously, talking about John Starks, which I will say to this day, and that's definitely one of my favorite Knick plays. He didn't dunk over Jordan. He didn't dunk over Jordan. We said he did. He didn't dunk over Jordan. But I talk about Knick memories all the time. Sometimes when I do these streams, my favorite Knick memory, individual memory, that's certainly up there. I was young, but I remember it. But for me, it's LJ. It's the LJ 4-point play against the Indiana Pacers in, I think it was like game 5 or 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals. The reaction from the crowd, everybody just simultaneously that's my favorite Knick memory. And that playoff run was fantastic. The Allen Houston game winner, game 5 against the Heat in the first round. But for me, it's the LJ 4-point play. He dunked on the rest of it. He did. He was in the picture, so he got dunked on, yeah. Let's see. Really bummed out we didn't get Jameis Winston. I actually thought Tannehill was going to be the guy we went after. I thought he'd be a fit. And JJ says, DJ's injury clause stinks. Yes, it does. Q-Dog says, Charles Smith getting blocked 4 times is my favorite. I'm sure it is. And Matthew says, I'm worried if we don't get our quarterback this year and we suck next year. Shane and Dable won't get their chance. Plus 2025 quarterbacks are underwhelming. I think Shane will get his chance. I don't know if Dable will. Because Dable starts to run out of excuses at that point. I think Shane's going to get at least another year. I hate you for saying that, Charles. No, I don't actually hate you, but I definitely hate you for saying it. One of my least favorite sports moments of all time. And Jamil says, Earth, Wind, and Fire was amazing. And a 1,000 yards. Oh, dude. I don't know. I don't think they all rushed for 1,000 yards in the same season, but I don't think they did. But obviously, incredible. I think Bradshaw kind of came on late that year, if I'm not mistaken, like the last 2 or 3 regular season games, and then he was obviously involved in the playoffs. But yeah, Earth, Wind, and Fire was great. Great. That was the offensive line, man. But Ward rushed for 1,000, and I think Jacobs did too that year. No, I'm not old enough to know Willis Reed, but I know Patrick Ewing. Q-Dog says, hey, Anthony, you heard of Darryl Strawberry suffered a heart? No. No. Is he really? Is he okay? No. He was my favorite Met when I was a kid, when I was really young. He was my favorite Met. I hope not. I hope he's okay. That'd be horrible. That'd be horrible. Strawberry's all good. Okay, good. Good. Check Pro Football Rumors on Twitter. Let me look. I don't know how legitimate well, he's got 300,000 followers, so who knows though on Twitter. This guy gets 2 likes. This guy gets 2 likes. I gotta. I love, and I'm not poking fun of you. I'm just saying, maybe this isn't the right account. He's got a ton of followers, 293,000, but he posts something, he gets 0 likes. Derek Watt is calling a career after playing on a 9.5 guaranteed to replace Barkley. I mean, these are old. But anyway, guys. I'm going to close this out. I appreciate all you guys. You guys are the best. I'll be live on Thursday with Bad Dog. I work late tomorrow in the city, but I'll probably have a video out. Actually, I'll probably wait until like the conclude. Maybe like Thursday or Friday. I'll probably have a video out, just like talking about the roster as a whole. After we, and talk about the cap space, how it, affected how they structure all these deals and everything else, just sew it all together. So I'll probably have maybe a 20-25 minute video talking about the roster after free agency on Thursday or Friday. But yeah, I'll be live on Bad Dog's channel on Thursday. If something huge breaks tomorrow, maybe I will go live or I'll have a video late at night, but I don't expect it at this point, but we'll see. But you guys have a great rest of your night. Always love hanging out with you guys. Not a whole lot today. Minor moves for the Giants. They had a backup quarterback. They had depth at the safety spot, a back end of the roster wide receiver to help for special teams purposes. But Giants continue to fill some holes, and we'll see what we do throughout the rest of free agency. I still think obviously we need a corner for sure, but you guys have a great rest of your night. Appreciate all you guys, and always love talking to you, man. I'll talk to you guys soon. Be well, guys.